I hear an echo. I don't know if that's me, but all right. Yeah. What would your definition of a god be? That's the first thing I'll ask, and from that I'll answer. Or yeah.
Well, the main definition that I've heard of a god is the one that's come from religions. Of course, people do come up with other definitions, but the basic definition is the classical one that we know from religion, the the Almighty Creator of the universe and agent that controls things, and one that exists outside of space and time or whatever, things like that. The classical one from religion.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I would say like the evidence for God is like very apparent for me. Like, you look around, you look at your hands, you look at nature. I just feel like to look at all those things and say to yourself in your mind that this is not proof of intelligent design. I think that's either a product of like, brainwashing propaganda through science and schools and just, well, we don't know, and it can lead to a lot of doubt, or it's just pure, ignorance. Because to me, I believe that the fact that you have ecosystems and you take you take the salmon out of the river, the bears won't be able to eat the salmon, and the elk or the deer, they'll go extinct, and it'll a whole chain reaction. Like, to me, it's all designed intelligently. Like, and apparently, if you read the Bible, we're made in the image of God. So we share certain aspects of God. Like, we're the image. So we're basically like, if you right now took a selfie on your iPhone, that image would technically be you, but it wouldn't have your emotions. It wouldn't be able to move. It would be very limited to what that image can be. It can be used to identify you, but it's not, the actual source. And for mankind, we are made in the image of the almighty, all-knowing, all-powerful God that created all things. And look what humans can do. We can build a BMW. We can make a airplane, a helicopter, a tank. We can make nukes. We have a large hadron collider.
Okay,
It's
Sean,
a lot of things that we're
Sean,
doing,
Sean,
manipulating the environment.
Sean. I'm gonna have to pause you real quick. All right. So the first thing that you said was that, well, you did what we non-believers call the "look at the trees" argument. All you did was say, "Look around, therefore God." Can I just say, "Look around, therefore genie of the lamp"?
But Genie of the Lamp would be like such a downplay, because whatever made the tree or whatever put the mountain or whatever made the ocean is clearly beyond a genie in a lamp, unless the genie in the lamp contains this almighty power
It
that
does.
could even spawn that in the first place.
Yes, the blue genie of the lamp contains all those powers.
Okay, then sure, yeah, that would be the almighty God, but I'm pretty sure God isn't a genie in a lamp. It could be, I don't know, but I don't think that.
Right, but do you see how ridiculous that is? You're just saying, "Look around, therefore this God from the Bible." I can easily say, "Look around, therefore the genie of the lamp from Aladdin." It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't prove anything. There's no evidence of that.
See, to me, that just means you're not seeing the bigger picture. You're not truly taking in what you are observing through your sensories. You're not actually, for a second, you're not thinking, man, is this all by chance? I mean, I'm sure you've thought that, but how could you play GTA 5? Are you going to play GTA 6 when it comes out?
Hell
Maybe you
yeah,
will,
it's
maybe
based.
you won't. A lot of people will.
Yeah, GTA 6 is based on where I'm from. It's based on Florida. So the thing is, what I'm saying is that just because things like appear to be complex doesn't mean that it couldn't come by natural means. You're simply shoehorning in like a supernatural explanation for something that could have a natural explanation. Let me like further illustrate what
Can
I'm
I?
talking about. Hold on, give me a second. Let me further illustrate what I
Oh,
mean. When it, because I go
Let
one
me
by
get my
one. Yeah,
15 minutes, bro.
yeah. I go 15 minutes one by one. All right. So let me illustrate exactly what I mean. Um, every single time where we wanted to like explain something on in our world, the supernatural has never been the explanation. Every single time we didn't understand something, it was the answer was never something supernatural. 100% every single time, it was always a natural explanation. From rain to the sky to gravity, everything that we thought was supernatural was always a natural explanation. So why would we
so
not
is there a
think?
natural
Hold on, wait,
is
wait.
there a natural
Listen, hold on,
explanation
wait,
for
bro,
aliens?
bro, 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 bro. I said 15 minutes. Give me a second. It has never been a supernatural explanation. So why would we think that the universe has a supernatural explanation and not a natural one?
Is there a natural explanation for
Hey,
aliens?
Bro.
Brandon, I'm gonna mute you again. If you come off mute before your
I'm
turn,
a scroll, bro. I'm a
yeah,
scroll,
if
bro.
you come off mute before it's your turn again, I'm gonna just kick you off. All right? I told you, 15 minutes each person. All right, go ahead, Sean.
So, okay, you're saying, the natural explanation. To me, a natural, what is natural? Like, that's like the whole argument. What came first, the chicken or the egg?
They both
Because one of them had
co-evolve
to
with
come
each other.
first.
No, not necessarily.
Okay, you could say that, but then I could say the same argument. Prove that to me. How could you prove that we evolved from a single-celled organism that for some reason multiplied and split because a lightning bolt hit a body of amino acids in water? That doesn't even make any sense to me, at least.
Yeah, but
That's
that's
way.
an
If you're
argument.
talking about the Big
But that's an
Bang,
argument.
that's the hold on.
But that's an argument.
I
That's
just
an
want to say that. I'll
argument.
finish on this. I'll finish on this. I'll finish on this.
Mhm.
Can I finish on this?
Go
Okay.
ahead. But
To me, this is just my opinion, right?
mhm.
To anyone listening, if you believe in the Big Bang, if you believe in what the modern day age of science tells us about, the beginning of the universe, you believe in the most improbable of all improbabilities. Like that is the most. What are the chances of that? Like you can't make that up. I could never. I
And
could
it's
never
called
say
a
I could
theory.
do that.
Hold on, Brandon. Okay, so number one, what you just said, what you just engaged in is something called personal incredulity. You're saying I can't understand something, therefore it's false. That's not how that works. Just because you don't understand it
You're
does not
doing
make.
that with the Bible and
Brandon, be
God.
quiet for a second. If you
No,
do that
you.
again, I'm gonna kick you off. That's the second time I told you. All right, I'm giving you one more chance. All right, so Sean, just because you don't
All right, that's
understand
my one more
something,
chance. Kick me off.
all right, cool. So Sean, just because you don't understand something does not make it true untrue. If you're saying that I'm gonna have to explain, how the chicken and the egg co-evolved, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not a biologist. You're gonna have to go to a biologist and ask them that, right? But there is an explanation. Just because you don't understand how it could have happened doesn't mean that it's not true. And when it comes to the Big Bang, just because you don't understand it doesn't make it not true. I don't understand calculus. That doesn't mean calculus is untrue. Calculus is what we use to use calculus is what we use for GPS and trigonometry and to get satellites into space. Does it make it not true because I don't understand it?
Okay. No, I'm not. I'm not saying that. Let me ask you a question. How much time do I have left?
We have about 10 more minutes.
Okay, okay. So what you just said to me that I don't understand it and it's too complex and it's just too much for me to grasp.
No, that's not what I
Couldn't
said.
that same
I'm gonna
argument?
pause you. I'm gonna
Well,
pause you.
that's basically
Hold on.
what
I'm
it
gonna
is,
pause
then,
you. I'm
right?
gonna pause
That's
you. I'm gonna
basically
pause you.
what it
I'm
is.
gonna pause you. I'm gonna pause you. I didn't say it's too
Okay,
complex
okay.
for you not to grasp. We can all understand stuff. I'm pretty sure that if someone sat down and explained particle physics to me, I will be able to understand it. But what I'm saying is that you don't understand what evolution or the Big Bang says. That doesn't mean that it's not true. All you have to do is try to go ahead and understand it. And then if you say that I have problems with it because this, that reason, and that reason, then you speak to people who know more about it. But you just can't say this seems complicated, therefore it's untrue. That's not how that works.
So what if I presented that same argument to what I say about God? That God, however he does it, I do not know, but he is actually able to do that. Couldn't that same argument be posed to you with your view on what the world is and how it came to be?
It can be, yeah, I'm sure it can be posed to me. The issue that I have is if someone says would simply say that I don't understand how God did it, but God did it. I'm gonna say okay, that's fine, but can you show a God actually exists first? Because I can prove evolution to you. Can you prove God to me?
See, and that would be my whole argument of intelligent design. Like that's what even woke me up in the first place. Was the fact that if you really do look around, like if you spend enough time in the woods hunting, you go fishing, it gives you a different perspective that it's too good to be true. It's too perfect. When the sun's hitting me and it feels warm and I feel perfect and the air is good and I'm breathing that fresh air, not for 1 second does it come to me that, man, this is all by chance. This is just natural selection, and this is why I get to enjoy this peace that I have right now. Just to me, that does prove that there is an intelligent designer. Whether I don't know if you want to call him loving. I'm not saying you want to believe in that. I truly do believe that. I believe he's all merciful. I believe he is all knowing. But just to say that is intelligent design presentable in the natural world? I would say yes. It's very presentable.
Hey,
You can
Sean, you said that everything is perfect, and then you mentioned the sun. The sun gives us cancer. How's that perfect?
see, but yeah, obviously, you do anything too much, it's bad for you. You know what I
Then
mean?
it's not
There's
perfect.
balance to life. There's a
Perfect,
balance to life. It is
but
perfect when you use your
how can it be
cognitive reasoning.
perfect if it gives us cancer?
Because see, but you have to understand, you have cognitive reasoning. You are made in the image of a God. You have free will. You can do whatever you want. You can jump off a bridge, God forbid. You
That doesn't
could,
really answer my question, though. If it's perfect,
because it's
why does it
perfect
give
for
us something
us.
bad? Why would it give us something bad if it was
Okay,
perfect?
well that's see, but then I'm gonna have to give you the Christian argument. I mean, do you want to go down that road? I could explain that, but do you want to go down that road in my worldview? I don't see
What's
a lot of
the
time.
what's the road we're gonna go down? Adam and Eve. We know Adam and Eve isn't true.
See, how do you know that?
Adam and Eve isn't true because millions of humans could not have come from two people. Inbreeding causes genetic defects. You would have to prove that
In
inbreeding
my
will cause
argument,
genetic.
right?
You
Yeah,
would
I
have to
know. I
prove that
agree.
inbreeding will not cause genetic defects. If your argument is gonna be
No, no,
like
I
they
know, no, no.
were,
Yeah, yes, yes, yes. I know. I agree. I agree with you. I agree 100%. Inbreeding causes genetic dysfunction. It's not normal. It's not natural. But my argument to that position would be that in the beginning, Adam and Eve. They were perfect. They were literally like from the direct source. They weren't regular sized people. I'm sure they were like huge, like giants. I mean,
how do you know
Noah
that?
lived to be,
How do you know
because
that?
the Bible tells me that.
Well, there's
The
giant
Bible tells me
bones
that.
that were
Hold on,
discovered
hold on,
too.
hold on, hold on, hold on, guy. Everyone, I go at 15 minutes. Everyone, all right. Sean still has about 10 minutes left. All right. So you're gonna say that Adam and Eve and there were giants, and I want to ask you, how do you know that's true? You said the Bible, but the Bible also says that the sun came after the earth, and we all know that the sun is older than the earth. So the Bible can say the stuff that's wrong. How do we know that's not also wrong?
See, but I wouldn't consider that wrong, because in the beginning God was the light of the world, and
How do you prove
He
that
is
to
He
be
is the
true?
light, because God is light.
How
He
do
is
you
the one
prove
that
that
gives.
to be true?
See, but that's you could never I could never prove that to you. In order to prove that to you, I'd have
Mhm.
to convince you that it cannot be another way. You know way too much about the natural
So
world. It could
this
be
is
any
why I
theory.
say there's no good evidence, because trust me, bro, is not evidence.
Well, see, but when you say there is no God, there is no evidence for God, I disagree, because the fact that there is, presentable natural world, intelligent design that is clearly there, that is enough evidence for God.
The
It's
Christian
it's
God?
it's sufficient enough for me.
That's sufficient for the Christian God?
Well, if you're going to go down the Christian path, that's a whole different, subject in itself. But
No,
there
no,
is a God. That's a
but you
fact.
said no. It's not a fact. That's your belief. But you said that it's sufficient evidence for a God, right? That's what you said.
Yes, I think intelligent design of the natural world is sufficient evidence that there is an intelligent
Which one?
designer. In my mind, Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus Christ, God in the flesh.
Why is it evidence for Yeshua and not evidence for Olodumare?
Because I believe that Jesus, right, first of all, the Old Testament predates all of that. The God of Israel has always been, okay? He's
It
always
doesn't.
been. And paganism, well, that's a fact. The worship of one God, who is Yahuwah, Yahweh,
It doesn't.
Judaism is the oldest religion. It's
It's
one of
not.
the oldest religions.
It's not.
Okay, but before that was paganism, basically. I would put it in that category. It'd be paganism.
Yes. So that means that all the pagan religions, including the one that I just named, is older than yours. West Africans
Yeah,
were
but that's
all
explained.
West Africans were worshiping Olodumare for thousands of years.
Yeah, but that's explained in the Old Testament, that there were false idols, the fallen angels had deceived mankind.
But
That's how we got all the information.
The New Testament takes place in the Levant. West Africa and the Levant had no contact for thousands of years.
Yeah, I'm talking about Old Testament, because if you're going to talk about
I understand
predating
that, but the Old
Christianity,
Testament
you have to talk about Judaism.
I understand that, but the Old Testament takes place in the Levant. The Levant and West Africa had no contact for thousands of years. So how can they claim something that was going on somewhere else that they didn't even know existed?
What do you mean by that? Are you trying to say that they had the same exact religion as Judaism?
They didn't have the same exact religion as Judaism. That's my entire point. My entire point
Yeah, they
was
had a
that
pagan religion, right?
my entire point is that West Africans were worshiping different gods than the ones in the Bible. And West Africans
Yes.
and the one in the Bible did not have contact for thousands of years. And the West Africans, the West African gods, were prior to Yahweh and all of them. Yahwehism is like 2,000-3,000 years old. West African voodoo, West African voodoo is like 6,000 to 7,000 years old. It's very, very old.
See, again, that's what I'm saying. Before, like Noah, right? You know the story of the Ark and Noah. I'm sure everyone knows that, right?
Yes, everyone knows it, and it's bullshit.
Yeah, that's fine, right? You can say that. It's fine. But my point of why was Noah and his family the only ones spared? Why was everyone else in the world completely gone except Noah, his sons, and his sons' wives?
Noah's Ark is bullshit.
Okay, but yeah, you could say that, right? But in the story, why was Noah and his family? Why were they only saved? Why were they the only ones spared?
Something about Noah being the only righteous one on the planet, or something like that.
Exactly. So when you're talking about all these older religions, they were real, but they were the false idols. They were the fallen angels. They were the ones that deceived mankind to worship them instead of the all-knowing Creator. Noah
how
stayed
do you
pure.
know that's true?
See, then again, in order to prove that to be true, I'm giving you what the Bible says, what I believe. I can't prove that to be true, but this is the argument. That's why I said, do you want to go down this road? I love to stick to the intelligent design of the natural world. This is a whole different argument.
Right, I understand that's what the Bible says. What I'm saying is that just because the Bible says that doesn't make it true.
Well, I would say it's a pretty good reflection of history from a theological standpoint, and
No, it's not.
knowing all the world religions. To me, it is.
All right, I understand that that to you it is, but that doesn't mean that it's true.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I could never sit here and say, look, this is what happened in the Bible, and this is how you know it's true, because we can go here, and here's the math. I can't do that for you. But that's why I said I like to stick to the real topic of just the basics. What can we actually observe right now in the present moment that could say, this could be intelligently designed? And I would say ecosystems. I could say a number of things.
But that doesn't prove intelligent. That doesn't prove intelligent design, though, bro. That could just be a natural part of our universe. Doesn't prove anything was designed.
But then again, what that word you keep using? What is natural? What is that source that naturality stems from? What is that?
Chemicals.
How can it be?
Physics.
How can it come? How can it form?
Chemicals and physics.
See, you're taking, but you see what that does, right? You have to see where I'm coming. You see what that does?
What? It does nothing. I'm just telling you, chemicals and physics.
It takes the soul, it takes the life force that you can clearly feel in nature. You can feel the
nature feels very nice. I like being out in nature. I like smelling the trees. All that looks very, very nice. But none of that proves a God.
But that's spirituality. You can't put that on a spreadsheet. You can't put that and plug it in a formula.
I actually do agree with that. I actually do agree with that. Spirituality is a good
landscape.
Right, I got you. I actually do agree with that because I'm from a very spiritual culture. I have no problem with spirituality. That doesn't mean that the spirits and the gods actually exist.
So if you don't have a problem with spirituality, do you think that when we are turned offline, do you believe it just goes blank and that's it? Like,
yes.
What are you thinking? You really believe that?
Yes. What happens when we die? What happens when we die is the same thing that happens before we're born. We don't exist.
How do you know you didn't exist prior to your human experience?
Because I have no human experience before. Do I?
So how do you know what was before?
I know it was before because history is written. I know it was happened in 1967 because MLK got shot in 1968, and it's written.
Whoa, wait.
Even though I wasn't alive in 1968, we definitely have pictures of him getting shot in 1968, right?
Yeah, but I'm talking about you're beyond this world. The things that happened in 1968 or whatever, they're irrelevant to where your spirit, the source, is stemming from. You are beyond this world. You're not
I'm beyond this world.
You're
I'm
for
not
a
here.
very short window of time.
Okay,
this is nothing.
I'm beyond this world.
Yes, your spirit is beyond this world.
Cool. Number one, prove to me a spirit, and then prove to me another world beyond this one.
So that's easy. I'm sure you've attended plenty of funerals, like I have. You know,
Yep.
when you're looking at that flesh body, you
Mm.
know that person that you knew is not there. It is just their vessel, and they are empty and they're cold.
Yeah, they're
Something
dead.
that was a core part of them is missing, and you can feel it.
Their
You can
consciousness is
see
gone.
it.
They're dead.
Exactly. You are your consciousness, just like a program in a computer. You're
Yes,
not the
and then
hard drive.
and then
You are the
after
software.
and then once we die, the consciousness leaves too. That's it.
So my point, you are not your body. You are something beyond the world.
Wait, how
It's
do you prove that?
obvious. I just gave you an example. Like I said, in
No,
order to prove it to you.
our consciousness is part of the world because it comes from our brain.
Oh!
Without the
You
brain,
believe
there's
the
no consciousness.
So you believe the consciousness is a product of the human experience. So you just
Our
okay,
consciousness is a
like in
product
the
of our
body.
brain.
Okay, all about brain. Okay. So what about like dimethyltryptamine? What do you think about that?
I have no idea what that is.
DMT. What do you think about the DMT experience?
I don't know what that is.
Dimethyltryptamine, okay, it's a chemical that can be extracted from a certain bark in the Amazon forest. And when you extract it, some people do it, the hardcore style. Or you could do ayahuasca, it's edible, But when you take dimethyltryptamine, it only lasts about 5 to 10 minutes, and it's a surreal outer body experience that everyone who's ever done it, has these insane experiences that transcends the human language. And funny enough about this chemical is that when you are on the brink of unaliving, when your soul is evacuating the body, your pineal gland, which is considered your third eye, they call it the reptile eye, right? It produces the most amount of dimethyltryptamine that it will ever produce in your body's lifespan at that very moment. So
Okay,
some people
so
will present. Okay.
so let me get this straight. Let me get this straight. Niggas get high, therefore God. Wow. Wow, I'm gonna convert y'all. I'm gonna go ahead and go down to my local dispensary, get some very very good weed. You know what I'm saying? Get high as balls, and then I'm gonna go ahead and believe in God again. All right, Sean, I appreciate you being up here. All right, so person with the blue, I'm not sure what to call you. What do I call you?
Uh, 8-6 GD, whatever floats your boat.
Cool, GD. Give me 1 second, y'all. All right, y'all. I appreciate everybody being here. I do see 3.3K likes. I do see all the requests, y'all. Give me a few minutes, y'all. For those who agree with me, I'm gonna bring you up after we're all done in the last 30 minutes. Go ahead and keep liking the live. I do these every Tuesday, Saturday, and Thursday. Shout out to everyone who's watching me over on my YouTube. Shout out to everyone who's watching me on Deconstruction Junction and everyone who's watching me on the Black Atheist Coalition. I appreciate y'all. So you said, Kay, I see your request. I'm gonna go ahead and bring everybody who agrees up at the end. All right. All right. So you said GD, correct?
Yep.
All right, GD. I'm gonna go ahead and put 15 minutes on the clock. How old are you, and do you disagree with something I have on the board?
23, and yes, I do think there's plenty of good evidence for God.
Cool. What is
I'll
it?
start. I'm Christian, and I'll say this: without the Bible, on just an atheist lens, going away from the Bible, everyone seems to degenerate. And the Bible gives you a blueprint for how to lead a good life. The second part, I'll use some secular science. There's things like, I think it's the 21 or 22, I think it's 21 gram experiment, where people, after they're deceased, there's a weighted difference in their body. And so that's one thing implying that the soul has a weight. As far as my second point is secular evidence, the Big Bang. It implies that something comes from nothing.
Hold on.
And I know a lot
Hold
of
on,
people
hold on,
love to
Gary,
say
hold on,
God of the
Gary.
gaps.
Go ahead, GD.
But to say God of the gaps, when you're saying something can come from nothing, because if God was not there, then the universe just expanded and now we're here. That is not logic, and you cannot demonstrate that either. So atheists have a side or a dilemma with that lack of evidence. And I'm bringing those 2 points up because I don't just need to rely on scripture. But it is very clear that if you go away from the Bible, it is a degenerate type of lifestyle.
It's not.
And one more thing on the logic, I do agree it's important to be logical. Don't be, dumb. But there are certain things where logic fails. You cannot logically get out of depression. You cannot logically get hard. Like there are certain things that you just cannot logically get out of. And so I think there is an endpoint to logic that a lot of materialists um kind of just reject, like ignore really.
Gotcha. Okay. Number one, your first point is very, very insulting, because you basically said that if you get away from the Bible, therefore you're a degenerate. There are plenty of people who are Muslim, Buddhists, Shintoists, and atheists who and Jews who are not part of the biblical realm at all, or don't have a biblical worldview at all, and are not degenerates. For example, you just called me a degenerate, but I work hard. I take care of my wife. I'm gonna have a son in a few months. I'm gonna love him, and I love people today. Am I a degenerate just because I don't believe in your Bible anymore?
I think that's the end point, and you could even have good intentions. But I do
Hold on,
think-
let me ask you a question. The end point is I'm going to be a degenerate. How so? When I'm married with a son?
because you're only using, and I wish you good luck with your son, by the way. But the end point is that you're using the world and these exterior forces to just say, well, I should be happy. And, you know, we know with a lot of rich people, they're often very depressed because they don't have anything internal.
That doesn't answer my question.
How does that not answer your question?
It doesn't answer my question because what you said can apply to anyone. There are plenty of depressed people in church. When I asked you how am I degenerate just for not believing in your Bible, you said that's the end point, and I said how do you know that? Because rich people are depressed. Who the fuck cares?
Well, it matters because if you do not have a God, you're basically I'll say a spiritual narcissist. You make yourself God, and this
No,
this
I
is
don't.
talked
I'm
about in
not
the
a
story
God.
of Babylon.
I'm not a god. I'm just a regular motherfucker from Florida.
Right, but I'm telling you, all you can do, because we have, and the last guest did talk about the pineal gland, which is tangibly trackable on the human anatomy. We all have a pineal gland. Not to get woo woo, but there is a spiritual element that science today even acknowledges.
No, they don't.
They acknowledge the pineal gland, absolutely.
But it's not magic.
You don't think it's magic? You think it's all chemicals.
Yes.
Okay, is the love you're going to have for your son just dopamine, like the same as say the
Yes.
white stuff?
Yes.
It's just purely there's so love doesn't exist to you then.
Love does exist. It's a chemical reaction that exists. Chemical
Okay,
reactions are
but
a
that
thing.
but that means you can't really help it. It's just a bunch of just a vast neurological process happening. It's
Correct,
just neurons
just like our
firing here and there.
Correct. Just like our consciousness.
But that would mean love does not exist. We're just flesh.
It
and
does. Love
flesh-
does exist. It's a
we're
chemical
flesh and,
reaction. Chemical
we're flesh
reactions
robots.
exist. Chemical reactions exist. And if
Yeah,
love
but
is a
that
chemical
means
reaction,
we're
then
just
it exists. Too.
android robots in the flesh.
So
Well, clearly, people that live like that have nothing to live for, and
yeah, I do.
that offers
I have,
credence.
I have my
that there's
family to live
something
for.
more.
I have my family to live for, and not only that, I do work in poor black communities to get like them over their trauma and their PTSD and help them with reading and math and things like that. So I have that to live for my community. I have my family to live for. I have my son to live for. There are plenty of things I have to live for. Just because I don't believe that the almighty wizard came down to earth, to sacrifice himself to himself for the rules that he created himself, does not mean I have nothing to live for. That's nonsense.
Well, what if you fail? And that's where most people. You said
Everyone
too,
will
a lot
fail.
of people. Yeah, but the point is, there's nothing to grace or brace your fall, and this is where people get into
Yeah, there
trouble.
is. I have my family. They
Yes,
grace my
but
fall.
family can leave. That's the
So?
point.
So
Well, that's where people go down this dangerous trope where they rely on the world, and everyone knows relying on the world.
I'm not relying on the world. I'm relying on my family.
Do you believe in anything that's immaterial?
Yeah, numbers.
Numbers. Do you know what Plato said about the immaterial? How there's a perfect form, a perfect form of things. Like
That doesn't matter. My entire point here is that saying that we have to be degenerate if we don't believe in the Bible is ridiculous. Because there are plenty of people who do not believe in the Bible that are not degenerates. Are you saying Japan is a degenerate country?
yeah, they have the highest offing themselves rate, and they're very atheist.
Okay. Is
As far as other
hold on, wait,
religions,
hold on. Would you
Go
call
ahead.
Nigeria a degenerate country?
I don't know anything about them really.
Okay, what about Russia?
I know the men drink vodka like crazy. They don't seem very Christian to me.
They're Orthodox.
Well, Orthodox is Catholic, and Catholic is just a psyop against the
No,
Christianity.
Catholic and Orthodox are two different things.
Yeah, but Catholic is Christian in name only. It goes
No,
against
they were
very
the
basic
first
tenets of
church.
the Bible.
And here's the thing: the thing about Japan is that the reason why Japan has a large offering themselves rate is because of their work culture, not because they don't have religion. Because there are
Well,
plenty of countries
don't
that
you
have
think
there are plenty of countries that have religion, and you will not agree with how the country operates.
Well, yeah, that's why, and I do disagree on when you mentioned the Jews and the Muslims, and I do think that is not. I do think that is degenerate because those religions, and this is the distinguishing point with Christianity, those religions allow for harams or other mysticisms or other just venerations of yourself. The main difference with Christianity is Jesus was, in modern terms, he was a low value male. A lot of these other religions, their gods are alpha. I know I'm being loose with my language, but they're alpha in the material world and the afterlife. Christianity is the one religion where Jesus is like low tier in the material world, but God in the afterworld. Like you don't get to have it both
This
ways.
doesn't show what degeneracy is, bro. What do you think degeneracy is? Because to me, degeneracy is awful behavior that goes against like social mores, like disrespect, going out, shaking your ass, being naked, stuff like that. Like those are
Yeah.
things that are degenerate to me. Like if you're gonna say that if you don't believe in the Bible anymore, you're gonna go out and be a degenerate. You're gonna have to actually show how that is. Because I've asked you how am I a degenerate, and you have not shown why yet. Because I'm a family
Well-
man. I work hard. I take care of my family. I love everybody. I love my friends. We're all good people. I'm respectful to everyone. I was a member of the military, bro. You saying I'm a degenerate because I don't believe the same way you do? How does that make sense to you?
Because the point is, after a while, there is no end game with the material world and the validation
The
from it.
end
That's where
game,
God comes into it.
is to live a good life and not harm anyone. How
Yeah,
is
but the
that
problem with-
degeneracy?
Because if you don't believe in religion, you don't have a clear definition of good life.
Yes, I do. I just
Well,
told you
to
what
you-
I just told you my definition of good life is taking care of my family, supporting and taking care of my community, and raising good children, and not harming people. That's my definition of a good life. Tell me why that's bad.
Because someone else's definition can change because it's too human.
I didn't ask you
discussing
about
it.
someone else's definition. I asked you why is my definition of living a good life a bad thing?
Because it's subject to your whims, whereas
So what?
God's is just
So what?
implanted.
So
It's
what?
just-
How is it bad?
because God set the standard, whereas yours is
Okay,
just-
so let me get this
and I'll
straight.
be honest, mine
So
too.
let me get
it's
this
ju- it's
straight.
just
So let me get this
feeling.
straight. Let me get this straight. 867. I want to live to not harm people and to make sure people get therapy for their trauma. That's bad because I don't believe in God. Really?
No, it's bad because when you're doing it without God, you're doing it for your own ego and your own glory. You're
I am
doing
not doing it for my own ego. How is helping people through trauma for my ego?
because oftentimes you would feel good about that, right?
I will feel good about helping them, not because
Yes.
it makes me feel better.
But you're getting a kick out of it, is my point.
I'm getting a kick out of helping people.
Yeah, that's why I said it would be for your own ego. Without God, it's all and once that kick is gone, oftentimes people's so-called niceness is gone too. Especially
okay.
when they enter times of despair.
Okay. So you're saying because I don't believe in God, I can't be a nice person.
Well, yeah, and I would say the same thing about myself and everyone too, though.
Great.
It's not just individually an attack on you.
All
That's not the
right.
point.
Yeah, that goes nowhere. All right. So Gary, how's it going? Gary, you there? Gary, you're on mute. If you are in case you can't hear me. All right, y'all, go ahead and keep liking the live. We're at 5K likes, 1,000 people watching. I appreciate everyone for being up here. I appreciate everybody. I'm gonna bring one more person up. Let's see. I see Leon was here, and then it's gonna be Mark, and I'm bringing you the rest up. All right, Caddy and Kay, I do see on in the request. I'm gonna bring you guys up right after. Gary, you there?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. How's it going?
It's fine. And you?
I'm all right. Are you over 18, and do you disagree with something I have on the board?
No, I don't agree with anything. I don't disagree with anything you say. You can believe whatever you choose to believe.
All right.
But I'm
Appreciate.
gonna take. I will say this one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Death is like when you go to sleep at night
Mm-hmm.
and you awake,
Mm-hmm.
your body awake.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's the same thing with death. It'll be like the twinkle of an eye. You don't know how long. It could be millions of years, but you
Mm-hmm.
won't know it when you resurrect, being resurrected. Believe me, there's an afterlife.
Mm-hmm.
Now, where you go, I don't know. I don't hold the key of judgment. That's on you.
Mm-hmm. All right. Leon, how's it going?
Hey man, what's going on?
I'm all right. So,
Yeah, no, there's,
are you over
there,
18 and do you disagree with what I have on the
yeah,
board? Also, your background is kind of loud.
I don't know why I'm like, I'm gonna make it quick and fast. I don't know why my background is nice because it's silent where I'm at. There's nothing I disagree with what you're saying. I was just one. I have a lot of things I would like to say, but I'm
Sure.
gonna try to see if I can catch you another time. But there's so much things I wanna say because one, I ask people this all the time. If you're saying that
You there, Leon?
arc is real, yeah, you're not hearing me?
Okay, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just saying one quick thing where people are saying that God destroyed the earth with Noah's with, in the time of Noah with the flood, and only Noah and his family and whoever was saved on the ark. If that is true, why, if only righteous people was saved, why this world is so wretched after the flood? It should be all righteous people. Why wipe out the entire earth for the same purpose, for it to remain the same or even worse? And also,
Mm-hmm.
there's these Christian people. This guy, I don't want to really discriminate you, but this guy that just come off the phone with you, like, yo, this guy not even listening to himself. I'm like, oh my God, are people so really dumb? And these Christians not even reading their Bible because even the same Bible, I can quote some scriptures, but as I said, there's not enough time. I don't want to take up your time because I know you want people who object to you. But there's so much thing in the Bible that clearly tells you everything word for word that everything that they are saying is a lie. The same Bible that they believe in,
Mm-hmm.
it tells you Jesus never died. The whole Mary and Jesus dead, everything, all of that is fabrication, fabricated story. There's so much thing in the Bible these people are overlooking. They're not thinking logically. They're not even reading the same Bible and get the same understand what it is saying. Because if they really do that, then probably a lot of them would even open their mouth and talk about religion.
Yeah.
This religious thing suppress and oppress so many people is not even.
Yeah,
But
I don't think they realize. But
that
Leon,
you
I do
can shut
appreciate you
this
being up here. We're
yeah,
gonna go ahead and move on to the next person. I do appreciate you being up here, though, Leon. All right, WL Leon in the chat. Go ahead and follow me. All right, Leon. But you were breaking up a little bit. That's the only reason I have to drop you. Do apologize. Cam, how's it going?
Good. Hello.
I'm all right, Cam. Are you over 18 and do you disagree with something I have on the board?
Yes.
Can you hear me, Cam?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, great. All right, so you say you do disagree, correct?
Yes.
All right, cool. Yeah, I don't think there is any good evidence for a God. Can you tell me why there is?
Um, Me myself, I'm a Christian believer, and I believe there is a God just based off like historical evidence that I've like researched into. And I was very skeptical a couple of years ago, and I looked into it and I read the Bible, and I came to the conclusion that Christians, when they say Jesus died and they gave his testimony and they wrote it in the Bible and all of the evidence, the first person or the first people that saw him when he rose from the dead were women. And back then, in those old medieval times, it would be very discreditable to say the first people to see Jesus when he rose from the grave were women. And I feel like them saying that gives kind of a justification as to it being true. Because if it was false and they wanted to fabricate it, they would easily say that men saw him first because that would have been more credible back then. Or you get what I'm saying?
Yes. Two problems though. Number one, doesn't matter. And number two, how many women saw Jesus?
Well, in total, when he rose from the dead 3 days later, it was written in the scripture that 500 people, men and women, physically saw him walking the earth. But the first actual people were women.
Right. I understand that the first actual people were women. How many?
It doesn't say like the exact amount, but I think it was at least 50. I would have to go back and look.
Okay. You know why I asked that? Because one book says that it was Mary alone. The other book says that it was two. One book says that it was five. Another book says that it was multiple at different times. Which one of those are right?
I mean, yeah, that is the question. There's so many different transcriptions of what happened in the past, but that's with anything. And
Correct. So
you
that
are
means
you
that
are right.
if we have
Yeah, yeah.
conflicting information, something is wrong there and we can't trust it, right?
I mean, yeah, you can always have speculation, as do I. I mean, I believe in God. I believe God is my savior. But as a human being, you're always going to question something. Obviously, when there's multiple sides of the story and there's different people saying different things, you know.
Right.
I'm not one to like judge anyone for that because I do it myself as a Christian.
Right. So that's exactly the problem that we're having here. When you just say that women were the first ones to report on seeing Jesus, like that's why this doesn't matter because we have conflicting information on it. And even if that was the case, that wouldn't matter either because so what? That doesn't say anything. All we know is from the what this Bible story says. That doesn't make it true.
Right. And I mean, there's other evidence of Jesus being a high power. And there, I mean, even if you don't believe in Jesus, there's evidence every day that there's at least some sort of higher power that controls things that happen in the world to an extent. But from my understanding and from my research that I've done, I'm not the type of person to just believe something that I hear just because something that I trust says it. I've really actually done research and I've come to the conclusion that there's at least some sort of higher power, and I'm going to put my faith in Jesus Christ. And that's how every religion is. It's all faith based.
But faith is not a reliable pathway to truth.
I mean, yeah, you could say that to an extent, but everyone has their own different ways that they can see things and different mentalities. And I believe having faith in something and being optimistic and being a cup full type person is a better way to live.
I have no problem with being optimistic. Being optimistic is good. Yeah, I mean, being optimistic is fine, especially in times like these. We probably should be optimistic, even though I'm getting more and more pessimistic every day. I
Right.
have no problem with optimism, right? The issue that I have, hold on, right quick. Hey, Cross, come on up, all right? Because you keep crashing out in the comments. I'm not gonna keep reading the comments to see what you're saying. If you want to come up and have a discussion, go ahead and come on up. The person with the purple cross. I see you requested, but then you left. I don't know why. Okay, so Cam, here's my thing, right?
Mhm.
I don't think there's much big problem with believing in a higher power. I see no evidence that is true, right? When it comes to Jesus, I have no problem with Jesus actually existing as a person. Jesus probably did exist as a person. How do we show that his supernatural stories are true? Because like there are plenty of supernatural stories from plenty people um, throughout history. Why is this
Yeah.
one the true one?
I mean, you can cross reference with other religions, like Muslim religion. They believe Jesus Christ was a human being. They just don't believe he was God. They believe that he was a prophet, if I'm not mistaken. They
Right, but
believe that he was of God, but he
Mhm.
wasn't like exactly Jesus Christ himself, if that makes
Right,
sense.
right, but like Hinduism has not doesn't have Jesus at all. So should
Yeah.
we believe those?
From my understanding, from the research that I've done, I feel like it's a very skewed type deal. And I feel like religions, same thing with languages, these barriers and these type confusing things were made from an evil force to confuse people.
Hold on. So Hinduism is evil, even though it's older than Jesus and Christianity and Judaism itself.
Yeah, well, in the Old Testament, when that part of the Bible, when Jesus wasn't specifically on earth, there were humans that were worshiping false idols.
And how do we know that they're false? Because the Bible says so.
Well, I would assume, I mean, like I said, I'm leading from a faith-based perspective, but I believe that they're false personally because, I mean, they don't have any lasting impact. All of those false idols, Hinduism, all of those gods that people believe are gods, they never rose from the dead like Jesus did. No other religion has a story of a god rising from the dead.
Yeah, they
They've
do.
all died.
Yeah, they do.
Well,
There are religions that
come on.
have dying and rising gods.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying in terms of actual physical evidence, like the Bible saying that people rose from the dead.
There is
From
no
my
actual physical
perspective,
evidence that Jesus rose from the dead.
well, I'm saying from my perspective, the only religion I've actually researched into and felt like had at least some truth behind it was Christianity. All the
Chris,
other religions I read, I felt like I was reading a Greek mythology book, a
so,
fiction book.
all right. So the thing is, like, when it comes to Christianity, how come you I'm not gonna ask you how come. The way it reads to me is historical fiction. Like, for example, New York City is a place, right?
Yes.
Okay. Queens, New York is a place within New York City, correct?
Yes.
Puerto Ricans exist, correct?
Yeah.
Is there a kid named Miles Morales with spider powers?
No.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm saying so. Like, this is what I'm saying about the Bible story. Jerusalem is a real place. The kingdom of Judah was a real place. There were King David was probably a real guy. Well, actually, King David was definitely a real guy. Elijah was probably real too. Jesus probably was a real guy. How do we know his
Right.
powers were real?
Right. I mean, I get what you're saying, and I'm not a type of person to judge. I'm not bashing anyone for what they believe in because I have friends that believe in other stuff. I have Muslim friends, I have atheist friends. But the one question I have just before I go is if you are right and there isn't a God, what do you gain from not even like having faith? Like even if you don't fully believe, if you put your faith in the Lord
Hmm.
and you die and it turns out he was a real person, would you not want to risk going to heaven versus hell? Like wouldn't you want to go to heaven if you had the chance to?
I would if it was more likely of Christianity being true than all the other religions. And as far as I've seen, they're all equally as false as the other.
Yeah, I see that standpoint, but if you could put your faith in the Lord and just say, you know what, I don't fully 100% get what's going on here, but I want to put my faith in you and I want to try to take this walk, you gain more from, believing and having a chance to go to heaven than 100% denying him and getting 100% success rate to hell. Because if you're wrong, it's very bad, you
And
know?
but the same thing applies to you if you're wrong and my grandmother was right.
I mean, if I'm wrong and God wasn't real, I died believing in something phony and I just go wherever science thinks I'm gonna go. But if you're wrong and God is real and you deny Jesus and you die, it says in the Bible that you go to hell for eternity.
All right.
So,
Well, there's two problems. Number one, hell is like a thing that an all-loving God wouldn't have, in my opinion. But the second thing I would say is that this doesn't like answer to the fact that there are other religions, because guess what? If if I'm wrong and you're wrong and my grandmother was right, Olodumare will kick me out of the ancestral plane, and I will never be with my ancestors.
that is true.
All right,
I guess
so
it is
that
really
would
just
also
truthfully
mean
about faith.
exactly, and that would also mean that. Well, let me ask this. Actually, in the afterlife of African traditional religions, people who are like white or not African descent, y'all not even part of that. Y'all not even there. So it's like y'all kind of like floating on the outskirts while we're chilling in the cookout. So
Yeah.
if my grandmother is right, you're not even gonna be there anyway, which kind of sucks.
Correct. I mean, even if worse comes to worse and we're just humans believing in all these fake stories and none of it's true, I still believe in the word of the Bible. I still believe in the moral backbone that the Bible teaches you in terms of like being a good human being and being compassionate and stuff like that.
Can you
So
have that
if
without the
I'm
Bible?
wrong, I mean, yeah, of course, but I'm just saying that was a tool that I used as a child and even as an adult to grow and get a bigger heart and be compassionate and learn
Why
what
do
I
you need
should and
that?
what I shouldn't do. I mean, I'm not saying I need it. It's no way a necessity, but every human being on this earth, our goal as human beings is to have a purpose, and it feels great to have a purpose and to stand behind something.
Hmm. Yeah. Can you have a purpose without it?
Yeah, I mean, if you have your hobbies or whatever else you believe in, it's completely fine. I mean,
Yeah, exactly. So these are the questions. This is the last thing I know. You got to go because these are the questions that I asked myself and that you just agreed with. You can have purpose. You can have drive. You can have happiness, all without it. And not only that, we have no reason to believe that it's actually true. So why believe it?
you can have all of those things without it, but me as a believer, I believe that you have eternal happiness and you have a soul-bearing, passionate, like connection with that religion, if that makes sense. Like I feel a better connection with the Lord directly correlates to a better life for me. Every time I've strayed afar, every time I've had shortcomings, it's because I've gotten farther from the Lord. And every time that I've gotten closer and reconnected with Him, it's been nothing but good things for my life.
You know
So,
what? I'm not even mad at that. Like dead ass. I'm not even mad at that. If you think that this is what's going to help you live a better life, I'm not even gonna be mad at that. Like
yeah,
that's something that
100%. And that's all I'm saying is like, even if you don't believe, if you just, if you use it as a tool to better yourself, that's a plus in itself, you know?
mm. All right, not a problem. All right, Cam, I appreciate you being up. I'm gonna go ahead and move on to the next person.
All right,
I
God bless
appreciate you, man. Yeah, have a good night. All right, y'all. We're going ahead and keep it moving, keep the clock ticking. I got about another hour. Then I'm gonna go ahead and bring up the friendlies, and then we'll go ahead and have a discussion. All right, LD Grande. Give me 1 second. All right, LD Grande. All right, so Jason or whatever your name is, cross person. Um, they keep inviting you to come up. I kept inviting you to come up because I don't need you adding me and crashing out in the comments. If you want to have this discussion, come to the stage. If you keep crashing out in the comments, if you keep doing that, I am my mods are just gonna go ahead and kick you or mute you for the whole live. All right, because I do not talk to the comments. So if you keep adding me, keep saying all this stuff, actually come up if you actually want to have the discussion. If not, if you just want to preach, we're gonna mute you because it's not a preaching stage. You can preach to somebody else. All right, Grande, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you doing, man?
I'm all right, man. All right, so are you over 18 and do you disagree with something I have on the board?
Well, you only got one thing on the board, but yes to both.
Well, yeah, you disagree with what I have on. Okay, great. All right,
Fair enough.
so you disagree with what I have on. Okay, great. I do not think that there is good evidence for a God. Why do you think there is?
So, just talking specifically, I want to make sure that we're on the same page. So, by God, we're defining it as some sort of supernatural being that has created everything in existence.
Yeah, we could go with that. That's usually what I go by.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure we're working on the same definitions here.
Mm-hmm.
So, first off, I'm going to run you through a little analogy here. If you were walking and there was a skyscraper that you saw, would you say that was something that just spontaneously generated itself?
No.
Okay, why not?
Because I already have experience of things like that not being part of the natural world.
Okay, absolutely. So let's reel it back then and say that because there is at some point we both would agree that at some point in history the first human made the first building. So let's say it was a wigwam, perhaps. Okay, maybe like a mud hut. So with no prior experience of human structures and whatnot, if you run across that, would you say this is something natural or something that was made?
if I had no prior knowledge of like human structures and I saw like a mud hut, then
Yeah, with the door,
maybe
the dome-shaped structure.
like a dome shape, like maybe I will think it's something that's not a part of the natural world because I have no experience of anything else.
Okay. Well, that's interesting to hear you say that. I will say that I tend to think that we would immediately say, whoa, wait a minute, that's not something that's natural. Because when you look at the way things that are natural are made, you get mathematical equations that are built into them, like crystal formations, trees seek out water and sun, but it doesn't create like this, like, um, engineered shape that we use and have used throughout history to try and protect ourselves from the elements.
Yeah, right.
So,
I mean, like for example, if you had no if you had no prior knowledge and no prior experience of man-made structures, but you ran across a mud hut, you might just think that's just another cave. Sure.
okay. So, what I'm trying to say and base that off of is that if you see something that is designed, the wigwam, then you understand that there's something that made it, and even without having something auxiliary to try and tell you that that is similar in design to those other things, and by seeing that personally, for me as somebody who does believe in God, I see the precision with which everything is made, the orbit of the planets, the speed and rotation and proximity of Earth to the sun, um, and everything else, that the universe is made of. To say, okay, well, if I know that natural made things, or I mean, man made things have a creator because of their precision, then I can look at these natural things that have the same and even higher levels of precision, not just astronomy, but also like cell biology, where they have cells are more complicated than the most impressive factories we've ever created, and it's like those things must have had something that created them.
Okay, so you're saying because cells look really really complicated, therefore design.
More about the precision, not necessarily complicated.
More about the precision. All right. So, but we do know that, uh, like, we know that, like, so you're saying that it is there's no way that it could have evolved that way. Is that what you're saying?
I would say that, yes, and
All right. Why not?
especially for like astronomy, like that's not something that's evolution based either. So we can sidestep that if we want to talk about astronomy. But
What do you mean astronomy?
like I said, the precise orbit in which Earth rotates around the sun, not only the distance but also the angle, the constant like fluctuation in the tilt of away and towards it based on which creates seasons and all that.
I mean, that's what do you think that proves?
That life, for the very fact that there is life, is a testament to the fact that something had to have put everything perfectly in order for that life to exist.
I mean, no. I think is how do you show this to be true? You're saying that just because like uh you're like I mean the thing is about what's going on is that where we are on the planet is like how the planet rotates around the sun. That happens like across the universe. There are plenty of other exoplanets that are also in the Goldilocks zone. This doesn't prove anything.
When you're talking about Goldilocks zone, but that's only one small aspect of what I'm talking about. You have to have the right sun, you have to have the right distance, you have the right angle, the right rotation and speed, the right gravitational mass, water, which is a major one that you don't see on other planets typically.
We have
Actually,
moons that have water, bro. What do you mean?
yeah, no, I said typically.
So what are you trying
Those
to?
moons are it's frozen water, which you can't do a whole lot with.
So what?
So for everything to come together perfectly is extraordinarily statistically impossible.
No, it's not because it happened. So obviously, it's not statistically impossible.
Yeah, but how do you think that it happened? Then you think it was a Big Bang?
Yeah, like physics. Physics is the way that it happened. The laws of physics made it happen.
But the Big Bang's impossible, bro. So
How's the Big Bang? Why is the Big Bang impossible, and how is it impossible?
Okay, so first off, the concept of nothing turning into something is wild. We've never seen nothing turn into something ever.
That's not what the Big Bang says.
Uh, what's it say?
The Big Bang is talks about the expansion of space time. It doesn't say nothing came from something. I think it doesn't say something came from nothing. Let's say
I mean, they've added layers to say that, okay, well, maybe there was stuff before that, but if you go far back enough, then the idea is that there was ultimately at some point nothing.
that's not the ultimate idea. We don't know what was before the Big Bang. The Big Bang is just an expansion of space time. It doesn't say nothing comes. It doesn't say something comes from nothing. No one says that.
So, was everything concentrated in the Big Bang when it happened, or why would there need to be a bang if everything already was there?
Yeah, that's the mystery.
Well, then what do you think caused this something to exist? That's what I'm saying. There's got to be like some sort of first mover here.
We don't know what caused that to exist. We have no clue. But that doesn't prove that that it must have been what you're saying.
Well, if we know that nothing cannot create something, then that means something has to have come from something.
Yeah, something has to come from something. No one denies that, bro. What you're claiming is that what you're claiming is like an unfalsifiable claim, essentially. You're saying that everything had to have come from this God character.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do you show that to be true?
Okay. It doesn't seem like we're going to come to agreement on this because I don't have further information to talk about that particular point. I will say that, just to give you a little bit of refinement on where I'm coming from, I am Christian. And so something that I believe it testifies to the existence of God is of the fact that there were many prophecies that were in the Bible that came true hundreds of years later that otherwise, such as prophecies about the Messiah, prophecies about the taking of Israel by other foreign nations, the dream of Nebuchadnezzar.
The dream of Nebuchadnezzar. So Nebuchadnezzar had a dream, therefore, the Bible's true. Martin Luther King had a dream too. So what?
His dream came true. No, that's trolling. So, anyways, yeah. So Nebuchadnezzar's dream though was a foretelling of future generations to come, and we've seen that, as well as, like I said, the messianic prophecies.
What messianic prophecies?
Prophecies that would tell of the Messiah, and how to tell when it was he that was on this planet.
Like what?
One of them was he would be born in Bethlehem. Another one was that he would, if you look at Psalms 22, David talks about, the way that he's killed. I'm sorry, unalived, forgive me.
I mean, but all Jesus did was repeat Psalms 22. It doesn't that doesn't show that Psalm 22 was a prophecy.
Well, the problem is that back when Psalms 22 was written, there was no such thing as crucifixion. It hadn't been invented yet.
So
he described a way of unaliving that hadn't even been invented. How would he have known that?
Not really. He describes how people died back then too. He didn't describe an exact crucifixion. Did he say that someone's gonna be nailed to a cross? Like he didn't say that. Psalm 22 doesn't say that.
He said they pierced my hands and feet, and that they wager for my clothing.
They were what?
They were wagering for his clothing and everything.
Yeah, people did that in David's day.
And the piercing of the hands and feet, and they're all lining up.
People did that in David's day. They just didn't do it the way that the Romans did it, but they did that in David's day.
Did what are you talking about? Betting?
Yeah, better wager on their clothes and pierce their feet. They did that.
Right, but it's the alignment of all the different aspects of that make it unique. I might eventually have some clothes that I might bet on, but that doesn't match up with all the other parts of Psalms 22.
Yeah, I mean, all this, like the thing is, all you're saying is that these things seem similar, therefore prophecy. That's not really how that works.
They're not similar. They're exactly fulfilling, and that's what.
No, they're not. No, they're not, because people pierced feet and waged on clothes when David was alive too. After people died, that happened in David's time as well. So these things being similar doesn't mean it's prophecy.
What are you talking about? They pierced hands and feet back then.
Yeah, they pierced hands and feet back then. Like people used to get their
Give
hands
me an
chopped off when they
example.
stole something back in those days.
That's actually Quranic. That's not something from Christianity or Judaism. I mean, can you give me an
No,
example of what you're talking about?
that's something that happened in
Piercing
the
hands
Middle
and
East,
feet?
like all over the Middle East. People got their hands chopped off for stealing stuff.
That's not according to Levitical law, actually. And also chopping off hands and feet is different than piercing.
But what is? Let's bring up Psalm 22. What does it actually say? Does it actually describe them being put upon a cross, or just say pierce hands and feet?
I don't have my Bible with me. Give me a sec.
All right, y'all. I appreciate everybody being here. We're at 7.2K likes. We have about 2,000 views. People in here. I appreciate everybody. Appreciate everyone who's watching over on my YouTube. If you're watching on the Deconstruction Junction, I appreciate you over there as well. Jesus, Phil. Oh yeah. I don't know the Messianic prophecies. That's why I haven't gotten into that yet. Justin is the one that does the Messianic prophecies. Like I don't really get into that. But every single time people bring up Messianic prophecies, it's usually just things that sound similar, therefore prophecy. Like I don't really accept that as a prophecy, because I can say, there's gonna be a hurricane in 20 years in a wet state. Like Florida is a wet state, and we get hurricanes all the time. That's not a prophecy, so it really doesn't show anything. But yeah, what does Psalm 22 say?
I don't know if you have a computer. I can pull it up, but the problem is that when I'm reading it, you're not gonna be able to hear me because I'm off screen. And it's not just a hurricane in a wet state. The prophecies, like just fulfilling 8 of these prophecies, the odds are 1 in 100 quadrillion. So it's not like it's statistically likely. We haven't even had that many people on this planet in history.
I mean, I can like name a prophecy, and I'll see if I fulfilled it. Go ahead.
They hands and feet.
What about the hands and feet?
They pierced them.
That's not a prophecy, bro. People have their hands and feet pierced today. There are people with like piercings on their hands. Like that's not a prophecy. Are you saying those people are the Messiah too?
Do you happen to have Psalms 20? Do you have a computer so you could pull up Psalms 22 for me?
Give me a second.
All right, go ahead. Thank you.
Okay, my God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from saving me, so far from my cries of anguish? My God, I cry out by day, but you do not answer. By night I find no rest. Yet you are enthroned as the Holy One. You are the one Israel praises. And you, our ancestors, put their trust. They trusted and you delivered them. To you they cried out and were saved, and you they trusted and were put to shame and were not put to shame. But I'm a worm and not a man, scorned by everyone, despised by people. All who see me mock me. They hurl insults, shake their heads. He trusts in the Lord, they say. Let the Lord rescue him. Let him deliver him, since he delights in him. Yet you brought me out of the womb. You made me trust in you, even at my mother's breast. From birth I was cast on you. From the mother's womb you have been God. Do not be far from me, from trouble is near. For trouble is near, and there is no hope to help. Most bulls surround me. Hold on, how long is this? Oh hell no! There's 31 verses. Let's get to the point. Which one says that he was put on a cross? Because I'm not seeing it yet.
Go to verse 16.
Verse 16. Dogs surround me. A pack of villains encircles me. They pierce my hands and my feet.
Okay, so that's where it talks about the piercing.
This happened in David's day, bro.
What? Crucifixion?
That's not a crucifixion.
What? What happened in David's day? Are you saying?
Like people getting ripped apart by wild dogs.
It does. That's not what he said. He said dogs.
Dogs surround me. A pack of villains encircles me. They pierce my hands and my feet. This is not describing a crucifixion.
It is absolutely.
No, it's not. What here says they put someone on the cross for hours on end until they bleed out? It doesn't say that.
Give me a minute. I'm gonna have to grab my
All right, y'all. Let's go ahead and keep liking it live and keep sharing it. All right. The Hebrew says Doug, not Pierce. I haven't read the Hebrew version. Again, Justin knows a lot about this, so if someone can tag Justin, then definitely bring him through. Words means words, not what you mean to them. Yeah, true. All right, y'all. If you were watching from my YouTube, I appreciate you. If you are watching from Volsy Thoughts, I appreciate y'all. If you are watching from Deconstruction Junction, I appreciate you. And if you are watching from Black Atheist Coalition, I appreciate you. If you're watching me on Twitch, go ahead and follow me. Excuse me. And if you're on Facebook, go ahead and shoot me a follow. I appreciate y'all. All right. So yeah, they just said that they a pack of dogs surrounded him. So yeah, they're being killed by wild dogs. That happened in Davis Day.
Okay, so I got it right here. So first off, I'm looking at the Hebrew. So whoever said the Hebrew says whatever they say, well, that's not true. The Hebrew right here says piercers of my hands and feet. Then it goes on in verse 18 to say they divide my garments among them and they made fall a lot for my clothing. Verse 24.
For he has not despised or scorned the suffering of the afflicted one. He has not hidden his face from him, but has listened to his cry for help. This is just David writing poetry to Yahweh, bro. Like this is, I don't know what you want me to read from here. It's not describing the crucifixion. It's written in present tense. This is just David praising Yahweh. Like what here? This is not a prophecy, bro. This is just David praising Yahweh essentially. He's writing a song to Yahweh.
I said 24. I meant 14. I'm sorry. It says I'm poured out like waters on my bones.
And my bones are out of joint. My heart was turned to wax. It has melted within me.
Right. So we're not just saying that, there's a hurricane or something going on. We're combining all these things together. So there's the.
But this is just David singing to Yahweh. There's no prophecy here, bro. He's not saying this is something that's gonna happen to someone in 1,000 years.
This is widely considered to be prophecy.
I understand it's widely considered a prophecy. I understand that it's widely considered prophecy by y'all. But if you actually read it, there's no prophecy being made. He's just praising Yahweh. That's all he's doing. This is poetry for Yahweh.
How is it How is no? Not when you've got so many things that are matching up at one time. Like if I were to insinuate something to you,
but he's not saying this is gonna happen to someone in 1,000 years. He's talking about himself, and this is what's happening to him. He's not saying this is gonna happen to someone in 1,000 years. That would be a prophecy. That's not what he's saying.
So what are your requirements for something to be considered a prophecy?
A prediction of the future, which this is not. It's just poetry.
I'm not sure why you think that is, when everything else is lining up. It is.
It's not. He's not naming crucifixion at all, bro. All right, so Psalm 22 is evidence that there's a God.
In the form of being one of the prophecies, yes. Also look at Jeremiah, which talks about the Messiah will come from death.
All right. So Raina, how's it going? Raina, you can unmute yourself. Raina, are you there? Raina, I invited you to unmute. You there?
Can you hear me, guys?
I can hear you now. How's it going, Raina?
It's good. I believe there's a God, but I actually believe men added their own desires and beliefs into religion, which misled a lot of people with religion.
All right, cool. Do you believe in any tradition of a God in particular?
Me, I sort of lean towards, like, I pray to God, but I also praise Mother Earth. I believe she's a goddess. We live on her. When she dies, we all die. So I think people should sort of give more to the earth and Mother Earth and praise her more. And I think people should definitely get back to their spiritual parts of life. Like we live on this earth gives us life, but yet we destroy it.
Okay. Uh, anything else?
Yeah, I just believe that religion's definitely been destroyed by men. They added their own desires and their own beliefs, and this is where I think religion has become corrupted.
All right. So, are you like in like, let me get this straight. Are you like in any of the pagan faiths or anything like that?
No, not at all.
You say you believe in Mother Earth.
Yeah.
All right. Do you follow like the European Wiccans or what?
No, I believe there's a God
Okay. And does that
that
God like
made
care
Mother
about
Earth.
us?
At the moment, I believe he's just watching us, and I believe he's not happy.
All right. So how come he doesn't just come and do something?
Good question. I actually think that he's given us a choice to see where we go in life and what happens, and this is a journey we're all meant to be on, and we're meant to figure things out for ourselves, and he's put the key in our hand, basically.
All right. So God just wants us to solve the problem on our own, essentially.
Yeah, basically.
Okay. Can we detect them or interact with them?
I believe if you listen hard enough, yeah.
If we listen hard enough. All right. So what is the way that we should listen in order to interact with this God that you're talking about?
I think it's different for everyone. I think everyone has signs or is given some kind of I don't know, some kind of sign that he's listening. He doesn't always speak, but I believe he does give signs.
Okay. So he gives signs that he's listening, but he doesn't always speak. What are some of those signs?
It depends on what your your relationship is with God, what you're asking for, what you're talking about. Like he'll give you a sign if you really believe and ask.
Hmm. Are you trolling me right now, Reina?
Sorry?
You trolling me?
No.
You're not trolling me. Okay. All right. So God will give us a sign depending on what He asks us. All right. So a good sign for me that this God exists is if He gave me $50 million, and well, I'm echoing. Does someone have me? Oh, hold on, real quick. Does someone have me? Give me a second, y'all. Give me a second. All right, there we go. All right, a good sign for me is if white supremacy would end, and then this God would give me $50 million tomorrow. Should I ask for that?
No, but we should definitely fight for that,
We should fight to
or
end white
try to
supremacy.
strive to achieve that.
All right, cool. W. All right, Raina. I appreciate you being up.
I've got to go, guys. My lift's here, but thanks for talking.
All righty. All right, Heem.
Yo, what's up?
I guess this is round 2. All right, y'all. Heem is back. Round 2 for Heem. All right, so I don't think there's good evidence for a God. Heem, have you come with good evidence now?
All right. There's 3 ways of knowing things. It is analytical, intuitive, and deductive. Right?
Okay.
So actually, could you describe a Levington G64?
No, I have no idea. What is that? Is that a car?
No.
I don't know
Can
what
you
it is.
just describe it for me? Picture it. Can we talk about it?
No, we can't because I don't know what that is.
Exactly. It doesn't exist. I made it up. It's a random term. The fact
Okay.
that we have this conversation and everyone in the chat, when we say, when you write, there's no good evidence for a God, no one stops and goes, oh, what does he mean by God? What is that? What is he talking about? What is he referring to? Right?
Actually, several people have come up here and asked me what am I referring to.
Yeah. But they know what the word it means. Like, what do you mean? Like, if you refer to a person in the sky, obviously, a person in the sky is a combination of elements. You've actually combined the concept of God with a human being, right?
Not
Like, that's
me.
what the Greeks did.
Well, not necessarily me. That's what literally almost all religions do. They give their gods or goddesses or their spirits or whatever like personable attributes.
Yeah, so that's like a compound idea. Like, they see lightning and then they take the idea of lightning and the idea of God and combine it. You get Zeus.
Okay, yeah, like they personify a lot of things. Yeah,
Right, but lightning was observed in reality. Where was God observed?
I don't think he ever was.
Exactly, it's known by intuition. Like, it's intuitively known,
All right,
which is
so
actually
you're
the
saying
highest level of.
so
Yeah.
you're saying we know things because of a gut feeling.
No, I'm saying like the Levington G64. We don't know what that is. I made it up. It's a sound I made with my mouth that doesn't correlate to anything in object or reality. Right? But if you look at every culture throughout history, they all believed in a god and they mixed it with stuff out there in the world.
Okay.
So it's like inherently known. It's like intuitive. If anyone like reads the philosophy, this is like undoubtable proof.
Okay, bro. I think that you genuinely think that you're answering or giving some sort of answer or question, but literally, I don't think anyone has any clue what the fuck you're talking about, bro.
Okay. Before I can know or talk about anything, I must observe it first.
Sorta, yeah.
Yeah, so like I couldn't talk to you about something that doesn't. I couldn't talk about to a blind person about the color red. He could kind of pretend like he understands what I'm saying, but he doesn't know anything about what I'm talking about.
Maybe. Sure, if they were
He'll have
born
no
blind.
concept of red ever. He'll have to experience it,
Right, he has no concept of red.
and there's no amount of words I can tell him that will make him understand what red is.
Right, unless you describe red as a feeling. Like for example, you said red feels hot and blue feels cold. Like if you describe red as a feeling, then they may understand it more. But
But they'll
they have no
never
concept
truly
of color.
understand.
They won't truly understand because they have no concept of color. Right.
Yeah. So everyone understands the concept of God. That's what I'm saying. And God was never observed in the world. He's known by intuition. He's inherently known.
No, like what I'm saying is that people understand agency, and when you say God, because of our cultural mores, that's how we understand what we mean when we say God, especially in the Western world. But that doesn't mean that the God that you're talking about, that's the God that you worship, doesn't mean that it's intuitively known. Because again, I told you about last time about Olodumare. You had no idea what that was until I told you. But according
what?
to Olodumare, according to the people who do voodoo, they wouldn't recognize, or people who do voodoo or Orisha, they would recognize that name Olodumare, but you didn't recognize that. So if just because like in our Western cultural, I'm sorry, give me a second. Just because in our Western cultural mores we would understand what we say by God, that doesn't mean that God is inherently known.
What was the word you just used?
I used the word Olodumare.
Was Olodumare ever observed?
No.
So that's what I'm saying. They still got the same concept of God. We're just calling it a different sound, but we're referring to the same thing.
Not really, man. These things don't have all the same concept at all.
Okay, what's Olodumare? Olodumare, is that how we say it?
Olodumare.
Damare.
Yeah, give me a second because my TikTok is messing with me. All right, cool. That's better. All right. Olodumare, the concept of Olodumare is that it's essentially just like a deist god. It exists outside of space and time and doesn't interact with human beings at all. All it did was
Yeah.
create the universe and kind of just fucked off. You know what I mean? So
Okay.
when like that's a completely different concept than what we see in Christianity or the other monotheist religions, because those gods do intervene with the universe and with human life all the time. You see what I'm saying? So it's like these are
Yeah.
completely different concepts and they kind of contradict each other. So they don't have the same concept of God that you have, because the gods in West African voodoo, what they did, what that god did was just create spirits that govern everything. The and like Middle East monotheism, which is where
Yeah.
Christianity comes from, that God interacts with everything and is the governor of everything. That's not how it works in West African religions. So they have their concepts are completely different.
Yeah, that's fine. They gave they personified. Forget religion. I feel like a lot of people have problems with religion and the man-made institution trying to tell you, you got to do this, you got to do that, right? I want to say that the idea of God is still there. Let's make it a blank slate. Everyone agrees that everyone comes to that conclusion, right?
No, because obviously I didn't.
Yeah, but you learned about it and then thought about it and then you said, read the Bible. You said that doesn't sound true. Well,
Correct.
and from our previous conversation, I think you just attributed God to the universe.
No, I
Right.
don't attribute God to the universe. You said that basically when you asked me like close to what governs the universe, I was just like the laws of physics, and you said that I'm equating the laws of physics to God, but I'm not. The laws of physics are not a God; they're just how the universe works.
Yeah. So, are you an atheist or agnostic?
I'm an agnostic atheist.
Oh, I don't know what that means. I thought they were like mutually exclusive.
They're not, because agnostic deals with knowledge, and theist and atheist deal with belief. Like I don't know if a God exists, but I don't believe in one.
Okay, that makes sense. Well, I would say we already know. Look, I just came to make that quick point. Like, how could it be known if it wasn't observed? Everything that is known is observed, unless it's intuitive.
All right. So we have about 20 minutes left. I'm gonna go ahead and bring up my friendlies. How's it going? Kay, I'm gonna bring you up, and Caddy, I'm gonna go ahead and bring you up as well. All right, y'all. I appreciate you all being here. We have about 2,700 people in here, 11,000 likes. I appreciate all the likes, y'all. I do appreciate all the likes, y'all. Let's try to get us to 20,000 next time. Next week we're gonna be running politics. This is the end of religion week. Next we're gonna be running politics again. I do these every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. So this week we were running religion, and next week we're gonna go ahead and be running politics. Give me a second, y'all. There it is. All right. Let's go ahead and bring up the panel. Let's go ahead and bring up the homies. We got Issa, we got Caddy, and we got Kay coming up. Hold on, Kay. I accepted your request, Kay, but there it is. All right. Got all the homies up. How's it going, y'all?
Hey, Pookie. Happy Saturday, friend.
Yeah, happy Saturday. How's it going? You guys all right?
You're
My
chill.
mental health is doing better this week, so
I'm
Health
doing
is-
good, man.
Doing good. Health is better. I'm glad that you're feeling better. You were sick, Kay?
no, I said my mental health is better.
Oh, mental health
it's
is
a little
better.
bit
Yeah.
Yeah, because most people don't know this, but I suffer with seasonal depression, so that's starting to lift because the spring is here.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, my nephew had a bit of seasonal depression. My sister was saying, because it's like, she lives up in DC now, and my nephew, we from Florida, so it's like when that winter hit, boy, we get sad, boy. We get sad, boy.
All you Southerners don't know nothing about no damn winter, and that's what aggravates me. Y'all begin out of school in May and stuff. I didn't know that until recently.
Mhm.
Like, y'all begin out in May, because my friend from Texas, she was like, I'm like, she was talking about her childhood and how they get out of school in May. I'm like,
Mhm.
bitch, you'll be getting out of school in May? Like, what's that?
We got school in
I'm
May.
like, you and your 4-5 months vacations and stuff. Shut up.
Oh man, glad you're feeling better. Glad you're feeling better though. But yeah, it's
I'm
been
not.
it's been kind of a night, y'all. Appreciate all y'all. Like I like to kind of run it one on one for a while until we get to the end. But I appreciate you all being here and supporting me.
That one guy was aggravating now.
Oh my god, just so aggravating. Oh boy, aggravating. But yeah, this is the end
I'm
of.
like that. Now I will like that. Now I will say like the guy like that came up. He was like kind of sweet, you know. He seemed like. I'm like now I do want to. I wanted to respond to that so bad when he was like, "Well, what about if it's true?" Like I'm like and I wanted to come up and respond so bad to that because like the way you Christians act. I'll take hell for 2,000, Alex. I don't want to be nowhere near y'all for all eternity.
Y'all, listen,
Okay.
listen. Especially if American Christian is like the American form of Christianity.
I'm like, give me
is,
hell.
Yeah.
Give me hell. Absolutely. I would much rather burn. It would be much more pleasurable.
Yeah.
I promise you.
I'm not with it.
I'm like, but on the other side, if your grandmother's right, I'm like, I don't know if it applies to me as an AA or does it apply to the entire African diaspora, but I
All of
won't
us, yeah.
be near y'all anyway. So
yeah, my grandmother's right. Then yeah, like white people are not even part of it. Like they somewhere else.
I'm like, so apparently, if you have a black parent or 2 black parents, you good.
You good? Yeah, yeah. Ancestral plane. You know, we all in the ancestral plane, basically.
So as long as you have 1 black parent or 2 black parents, it sounds like you good.
Yeah, yeah.
So we all good.
Yeah. We all gonna be with T'Challa and them. You know what I mean? And the ancestral plane.
Now, I didn't grow up with like African spirituality, or I'm like our version of it here is hoodoo.
Hoodoo, yeah.
I didn't grow up with that. I'm like direct, but I'm like, but I wonder if it's the same in like hoodoo, like ancestral plane. Is that the same with like all of the African spiritualities, or that's specific to Haiti? I wonder.
Yeah, when it comes to Obia, Voodoo, Santeria, and West African Voodoo, it's basically all the same. It's like ancestral plane afterlife. When it comes to Yoruba religion, Orishas, I think it's the same. They don't have a hell in theirs, if I'm not mistaken. Someone in my YouTube comments knows a lot about it, so he'll tell me.
I wonder, does hoodoo and Haitian spirituality have a hell though? Like,
there is a place for suffering, but you gotta get sent there by like a mumbo or a ugan. They gotta send you there. You know what I mean? But there is some way you can suffer.
What would cause you to send you there? I just hope all you these degenerate deadbeat baby daddies end up going there. If that was okay.
Yo, can I share a story really fast?
Yeah, go ahead, Issa.
So my dad told me recently that he's retired Navy. Is it echoing for you guys?
It's okay for me. Is everybody else echoing?
Yeah, it's echoing.
I hear echo too.
You hear echo? Okay, give me a second. Maybe it's.
Hold on, let me swipe. I'm gonna swipe out of the app real fast.
Okay, all right, no problem.
Do I still have echo? Damn it.
Yes.
I don't hear one.
Sorry, sis.
Okay, well, hang on.
I don't know how you don't hear it, but I definitely hear
Here,
it.
I'm gonna
I can
get
hear it
down
in my
and then get
phone.
back up.
All right, yeah, go down, come back up. But yeah, I don't know why I don't hear it. I don't hear the echo. Maybe it's something on my side. I'm not sure why, but yeah, I don't hear an echo.
Yeah, I wonder. Okay, I think that's her now.
Yeah, it's her. Yeah, bring her
Get
back
this,
up.
sis.
Is this
How's
better?
it?
No, sis, we're all echoing.
You're on an echo too, though,
We just
Kay.
have to deal with it. I know.
Why are you guys on an echo? Let me see if it's over on my side. Give me a second. Let me turn this down. All right, how's that? Is that better?
We all echoing. I hear it.
Oh, okay. Oh no, it's still echoing.
Damn.
I'm
Why
not
is that?
echoing with you. I was gonna say, father is.
No, you're not echoing. Those of us on the guest panel are.
Okay.
Weird.
So, it was my father he's Caribbean, and he was a corpsman in the Navy. And this dude that had to get some sort of medical treatment from him asked him if he practiced voodoo, because he's from and they do in Belize. It's not voodoo like it is in Haiti, but it's a derivative of the same thing, same sort of a thing. So my dad, he doesn't, but just because this dude was he was basically being kind of racist.
Mhm.
My father, just to fuck with him, sorry, he told him yes and did a chant.
Yes. Please tell me he said yes.
He did a chant over him. He just told me about this recently, and I was dying because like he literally did a chant over this man, like he was healing him, and this man believed him and stayed so far away from him.
You know what? Sometimes racism wins. Sometimes racism
exactly.
Yeah. Sometimes, yeah. No, because when
I was so proud. I was so proud to be his daughter in that moment.
yeah, because I remember that when they
I'm like, and I'm proud. I'm proud to know you as his daughter because I am really that petty. I am. I'm like. Speaking of petty religious antics, Volsey, remember the time? During like Easter on Clubhouse, I had made a room saying that the Last Supper was an orgy between
was an
the last
orgy,
wine
yeah.
and Jesus was a bottle.
Jesus was a power bottle. Yo, I was like, they made spin-off rooms of K, bro. I was like, oh my god. They made spin-off rooms. I'm like, she got them mad today. I was like, what did she do today? What happened?
And I made sure to save that for Easter. I made sure to save it specifically. Like I made sure that all 7 days, honey, I made a room, and I saved that last one directly for Easter, directly on purpose.
That's beautiful.
Oh, man. Yeah, that's like there was this one when I was on Facebook a lot. This is when Facebook was popping and they had a whole bunch of groups. When I was on there a lot, there was this one annoying Christian guy. Everyone knew about him. He always felt like if he just read two little sentences of any type of science book, he's all of a sudden an expert. He all of a sudden knows everything. And we're always like, no, you don't know everything. And one day someone just decided to troll him with every time he posts something, that same person would say, greasy gay butt sex with Jesus. So he would just keep repeating that. And it's every single time he posts something, that person will post that same comment over and over and over again. Greasy gay butt sex with Jesus.
Wow.
Duh, it's the same thing over and over and over.
Now I didn't know until Volsey told me like 2 weeks ago that they made spin-off rooms on my room.
Yeah, they
I
did.
had that press. But I'm very proud of myself that I did have them that press.
Yeah, man.
They must have blocked me because I didn't see those rooms.
Yeah, they blocked you. Oh,
Now,
man.
what were they saying when you came into those rooms? Like, how many spin-offs were
Oh, it was super transphobic. There was like, that man who wanted to be in the wig and all this other stuff. I was like, bro, and it was cussing the hell, like there was cussing to high heaven. I'm like, y'all supposed to be pastors and Christians, and y'all cussing, y'all over here cussing and saying all this stuff.
and that's exactly why I did it.
Mm-hmm. I already know. I already know exactly why she did it.
Real quick to turn ugly.
I'm like, and I would have said, and your Jesus was a bottom.
Yo, Jesus being a power bottom is kind of crazy.
I'm like, listen, and I made sure to get the drag queen song like from a few years ago. That boy was a bottom, and I changed the lyric that your Jesus was a bottom. They were so upset.
Yeah,
So
they was
in my
heated.
room, they were already in my room acting a fool, and
Oh,
God,
man.
my clubhouse days were a trip.
Yo,
were such a trip.
yeah, y'all know that song "Dancing Queen"?
And I played that one too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. When they when
And I made sure I got the gayest image of Jesus I could find and posted it in
yeah,
my
exactly.
PTR.
When they was talking about shackles off my feet, I said, y'all got another Christian song, and I played the Dancing Queen. Yo, yeah.
It's always fun messing with them.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
Just
my
off
God.
just off topic.
And also that was right. I became like an atheist in 2020,
Hmm.
and that was like during like my, and I was still recovering from the fact that I've been lied to literally my whole life and all the religious trauma I was going through because of that at the time. So I was really upset, honey, and
Mhm.
I made it every chance. Vosi will tell you every chance I got, I made sure to fuck with them bitches.
Yeah.
Every
Yo, I
chance
told you guys. I told you guys about when I was going to chemo, and this woman would sit next to me, and she's always like, "We're sitting in chemo chairs, hooked up to chemo," and this woman is like, "I just thank God we're healing. I thank God," and I'm like, "Bitch, we're in a chemo clinic. We're hooked up to chemo."
You're in a chemo clinic and doctors are giving you healing, not Jesus.
Mhm.
Okay.
All right.
We'd be dead without.
Hey guys, give me 1 second. Give me 1 second.
Science did that for you. You're
Yeah,
welcome.
exactly. Science it is for us. All right, guys, give me 1 second. We got 5C up here. OTWZ, you can join next if you like. All right, y'all. We got 5C up here. He is an op. I know we're all opposition. Try not to jump him. I can't promise anything, 5C, but we're gonna try not to jump you. All right, so try not to jump 5C, y'all.
Oh,
Now,
I'm definitely not giving any promises.
now 5C, you said that you think that there is evidence for God. Go ahead. We'll put 15 minutes on the clock so we can talk to you. What evidence do you think there is there for a God?
The world, bro.
Wow.
What's the world evidence for God? Because I would argue, and if you're using
I think what
this
you think
right
is
now,
you think God has to be the Christianity God, but I think God is just whoever created this world.
Okay. So problem with that. Who says? Why do you think that there was an agent or a who that created this world? Oh yeah. To Dibris, you're exactly correct. This is another look at the trees argument. So 5C, your argument is basically what we non-believers call look at the trees. Yeah, look at the animals. Yeah, exactly. So when you say that look at the world, that's evidence for a God. Can I also just say look at the world? That's the evidence that my big chocolatey penis is also the creator of the universe.
oh my God.
But that would have to imply that your big chocolate penis was here before the world started. So
It was though. It was though. It goes back to the Big Bang. That's how big and chocolatey that it is. I'm my son's creator, exactly. But like, my point is, do you see how ridiculous that is, 5C?
nah. Who says it's not?
Okay.
Who says you weren't the creator?
Hold on.
Who says you weren't the creator?
Can I approach this for you real quick, bro? Like,
Yeah. Go ahead, Caddy. Caddy didn't get a chance to talk. Go ahead, Caddy.
yeah, hey, I want to approach this for you, man. There is no consensus on infinite model science versus
I love
finite
being
model
black.
science.
I love it so
There's no
much.
consensus on determinism versus free will.
Mhm.
So you understand that ultimate reality, no matter how we try to explain it, no matter how we try to map it, there is no agreement fully on these things. So understanding that there is no agreement, you can just say, hey, I don't know.
Mhm.
And the fact that you got to ask yourself, why do you want to know? And the reason why you want to know is usually based on emotions and a want of purpose. So, those are based on you, based on your indoctrination, based on the way your brain is firing and all these other underlying things. So when you say this stuff, like, oh, the world is created. Well, that is not a known.
Yeah.
That's not a known.
Yeah, exactly. So 5C, the question goes back to how exactly do you show that what you said to be true, that the world must have been created by some sort of supernatural agent? How do you know that to be true?
Well, how do you show it's not?
No. You're the one claiming it is. You have to show that it is.
I can show you that it's not using
How do you
non-dualistic.
show it's
Hey,
not?
hold on. I can show you it's not. I can show you it's not using non-dualistic philosophy and the infinite model to say that energy cannot be created nor destroyed. And when you apply it to the infinite model, that means energy cannot be created nor destroyed infinitely. That means it is what it is, and it always has been. And in that understanding, you understand no matter how many times you try to label it, try to map it, you're just tapping into the infinite. There's no way you can reach the infinite because it goes on forever, and that is infinite model.
Right, and I
So
can
that
also.
Caddy, I'm the caddy. That's just a great argument. I just cannot get over the last commentary in Big Bang. I have not recovered yet. I have not recovered.
I know. I should have told that way. I should have told that way. I feel you. Okay, but
It was literally perfect.
no, because it's the same thing. It's literally the same
It's the
thing.
best trolling I have seen in such a long time, and I appreciate it so much.
No problem. I got you. But yeah,
And you said to follow up with, listen, black people's timing is comedic timing will never cease to
exactly. Because it's like, yo, it's the same thing, yo. I could say, you know, like Beyonce's big booty. You know what I'm saying? It's the
Are we
creator
talking about
universe.
God or are we talking about Beyonce?
I would agree.
Yeah, exactly. Hold on, but what we're talking about, I'm sorry, I didn't get your name, Gebra. Yeah, give me a second, Gebra. Okay, so just to get back to the seriousness of the conversation, but 5C, when you were to ask, how can we show that it's not? We have natural explanations for how this world came about. So if we have those natural explanations that do not require a God, why are we shoehorning a God in it? Something that we cannot prove to be true.
Can I ask something to counteract that real quick?
Yeah. Just a second. 5C, do you still hear me? Are you there?
I'm trying to reset that. I don't understand that question.
Okay, so my question is that my point was this: when it comes to the how the world was formed and how the universe came to be, or how we understand our current presentation of the universe, essentially there are natural explanations for it, right? So if we have natural explanations for it, there's no need to put in something supernatural there, which is what you said will be this supernatural agent that created the world and the universe. There's no need for that because we already have natural explanations, and not only that, anytime.
I'm pretty sure, to me, science is more proof that God does exist than it doesn't. I think it takes more to believe that there's no creator than there's just simply a creator out there.
I can answer that 5C, but go on.
Hold on, you're putting science in this box.
Hold on. Everybody pause. I want to go ahead and just finish my thought real quick. Then Kay had something, and then we'll go to Jeebra.
I wanted you to put the scientific explanations for the creation. Would you be able to get it and put it in the background?
Oh yeah. I could definitely get it. Like for example, we know about the Big Bang that has scientific evidence, right? And I don't know if you know about like planetary formation, like the accretion disk and everything like that. The way that we explain how the world formed is through an accretion disk of star formation. Do you know what that is, 5C? Not to insult you or anything. I'm just asking if you know what it is. Okay, so when you look,
Can I interject real quick? I just want to mention one thing because you're offering all these explanations, just real quick, right?
Mhm.
I just find it weird how we have explanations for the origin of the universe, like the Big Bang and stuff. You know, there's a clear-cut scientists say they know the answer to all of this shit, but we don't have a cure to something as small as like a disease on Earth. You know, that kind of begs the question. So you guys are so quick to dismiss God,
That's
but
not
we
a true
supposedly know
statement.
how. Sorry, let me finish talking, right? I find it just weird how we have a supposed explanation for how this universe came to be and
Mhm.
all of this shit. It's been here for 14 billion years, whatever.
Mhm.
But we're quick to shut out God. But
We're
we don't
not
have
quick
a
to
cure
we're-
AIDS. We don't have a cure to cancer. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So I think there's
We're
a bit
not
of an
quick to
agenda
shut
here.
off God. We're saying that there's no evidence for one, and
R-
until there is one, there's no reason to support such claim.
And I
No,
also
but there's a lot of people who dismiss God altogether,
I wanna
right? Like,
also
I'm sure
mention
you guys
to
can.
the-
That's like marketing,
I'm like,
basically.
I
You're like,
will
oh no, I'm
dismiss
not
it
saying
until
there
there's
isn't a
evidence.
God.
Hold on. Everybody pause real quick. Jeebra, pause for me real quick. Caddy want to say something, and I think Issa wants to get in as well. Caddy, what you were saying?
I want to say to you, you got to understand that science does not just agree with the finite model, which you're talking about the Big Bang. They don't know if the Big Bang is a series of bangs. They don't know if space is always expanding infinitely. They don't know these things. There's no consensus. Now there's theories which have been proven, but there's also theories in the other direction which have been proven. This is what I mean by saying there is no consensus. And the same argument goes for determinism versus free will. Like there are these camps that people find themselves in based on evidence, but there's no consensus because there's other camps with credible evidence. So when you're trying to talk about this stuff, you're doing it from the biased position of belief and not from the position of being studied and being learned. And that's the problem.
And I'm gonna say this as I'm like, cause just so y'all know, to FC and go. I'm sorry, I cannot pronounce your name. The one above FC. What do I call you?
I just call them G-Bro for now. You can call them G-Bro, I guess.
Okay, G-Bro. I'm like, no, cause I couldn't. Cause child, I wasn't looking, and all I just saw was G. Okay, so G-Bro. I dismiss any claim without evidence. If you were to tell me that the sky is falling, I'm not gonna believe you. Without evidence, I'm not gonna believe that. If you, I'm like, people say the aliens are real. I don't.
Right, and
believe
that's
that.
another thing. So you guys don't believe aliens exist?
There's no evidence for that yet.
There's
Alright,
no
but
evidence.
I've
and
never
like,
seen
and I'm
Kanye.
saying
So
honest
prove I
question.
know he exists.
Nobody knows what the fuck
What
they're
if the
talking
pictures
about when
of
they
me
say
seeing
this. Because there are
Kanye
plenty
and
of
enough evidence
scientists
to me?
who will call you guys idiots for saying you don't believe
I
aliens.
just want to
exist.
add, it's so stupid.
No, I said,
Guys,
I'm like, I
hang
said
on,
there's
Kay,
no
hang on.
evidence.
Your host just said aliens don't exist. There's
Being
no
I didn't say
scientific,
that.
That's not what he
we
said.
That's not what I
cure
said.
certain diseases.
You said there's no evidence for it.
Same
Right,
thing
we don't
with
have
same-
actual. I'm sorry. Let me just respond to this real quick, Geese. I'm sorry.
No worries.
G-Bro, this is what I said. Okay, we have no evidence. This is what I was trying to say before.
So there's no
we got-
reason to
hold
believe
on,
it.
listen, G-Bro. There's no evidence yet that we've been visited by aliens, right? Is it likely that aliens exist? Yeah, yeah. According to what some of the math that we have, it is probably likely that other life is out there. We just have no
Why?
evidence
More
of it yet.
likely than a god, I will tell you that.
Yeah,
I
it's
would
more
believe
likely.
that before
So is your
God.
argument that there's no good evidence for God, or that you think there's no God at all? Because
My
I
my
don't believe
argument
there's
is that.
evidence for the
It's
existence
they're
of
doing the
God,
marketing
no.
bullshit, bro.
All right,
It's
yeah,
basically marketing.
pause real quick, because we're all jumping over each other. This is not marketing. I make my money from insurance, not marketing. So
No
when I'm
shit,
talking
but
about,
you get what I'm saying. This is
no,
like
yeah,
different
yeah,
from what
yes,
I
yes,
know.
shit, yes, shit. All right, so, when we're not marketing. We're just having discussions, okay? So my argument is that there's no good evidence for a God. I think when it comes to Kay, if I'm not mistaken, Kay, you can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think she thinks there's any God at all. Me, I don't know if there's a God, but I don't believe in one.
I don't believe that, but I also don't believe that because there's no evidence for the claim. If there were actual evidence that were to be presented that would prove the existence of a god or gods, I would
Accept it.
absolutely accept that. Now, would that mean that I would be religious again or follow said creator? I don't think so, and that's up. And that could be up in the air. But I would accept that God exists. That
So why do you
God
believe
is
that
real.
aliens exist? There's no evidence for it.
I never said whether
Boom.
aliens exist or not.
That's my
Hold
point.
on.
So there's no
Hold on, G. Hold on, G. Let her finish, G. Let her finish. Go ahead, Kay.
Because I'm also a moderator. So yeah.
all right, so what would evidence of God look
5C, 5C. Hold on, 5C, 5C. Hold on. Let Kay finish.
I'm start
If y'all
muting then.
speak over
I'm just
me-
gonna start muting people.
Yes,
Not
please.
UK,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna start muting people.
Yeah, because let me tell you, me, Issa, and this is Vosi's live, and me and Issa are mods. I'm not sure about Caddy, but if you speak over me and Issa, I'm gonna start muting, and then if y'all get out of line, then I'm just gonna drop.
Drop. Yeah, exactly. So, go ahead, finish up, Kay.
Keep it cute. So as I was saying, I never said that whether I believed in aliens or not. I said that there is no. I said that there was no evidence for aliens. I did say though, however, that I do believe that it is more probable, more likely that aliens were to exist more than the evidence of a god, because the things that you need to sustain life, such as water, such as plants, etc., actually do exist on other planets. And it would be, I would believe, it would be narcissistic to not acknowledge the idea that there could be life in another galaxy or another planet. I'm not opposed to that. I'm not even opposed to the idea that there may actually be a God. I'm not actually opposed to any of these things. But I'm like, but I said there's no evidence yet for said things. And so I am not going to believe in something that has no credible evidence behind it. Now, with that being said, I believe that like in Volsi, and this is me just saying this in general.
Mhm.
I believe that the idea that there could be aliens is absolutely is more likely than the idea of a god. I do think that is more likely.
You just
Yeah,
said two
same.
different things.
Yeah, I think aliens is it's a little bit more likely than God. The reason why is because I think Issa would agree. I think Issa and Kay and Caddy would agree is because when it comes to aliens, that's more of a thing that exists like naturally. Like for example, we know organisms like we exist as a natural byproduct of this planet, right? So if there is another planet that has similar conditions, there could be creatures there that exist as a natural byproduct of their conditions. Now, what we don't have evidence for is people with superpowers. You know what I'm saying? Like, we don't have evidence for that. We don't have evidence of someone walking on water. We don't have evidence of someone splitting the moon in half. We don't have evidence of someone flooding the planet. We don't have evidence of those things. We don't have evidence of some guy sitting on a mountain and striking down lightning.
So how did
Burning bushes, yeah, we don't have evidence of that.
Where's
So,
the evidence that where's the
I would like to
evidence that
speak.
living
I would like
okay,
to
are
say
you gonna talk
something.
over me? I was gonna respond.
Yeah,
to
I am going to talk over you because I haven't spoken
We're
yet
having a
at all.
conversation.
hold on, G. Hold
I
on, G.
haven't spoken, have I? You've spoken though.
Go ahead, Issa. Thank you.
Yeah. So there was something earlier said about we don't have cures for certain diseases. Just because we may not have cures for certain diseases currently doesn't mean like we eventually won't. Just because we might not know something, I don't know, is a perfectly good answer to something, because that doesn't mean we won't eventually know. And the likelihood of there being aliens, the universe is a big place. Who knows? There might be. I think it's arrogant to think as a human being that life might not exist somewhere else. That doesn't.
You didn't understand my point.
Shut
There's
up.
a reason why I said that.
Hey,
Don't lie
G,
to me.
G,
Bro,
be
tell me
quiet.
to shut
G,
up.
be
I'm
quiet.
just saying you didn't
Hey,
understand my point.
G, you're gonna go ahead and mute up real quick.
Or dropped.
All right, go ahead,
And
Issa.
I'm like, and Volsi, you notice how I'm like, me and Issa have gotten spoken over plenty times, and you and Caddy have not.
I'm noticing.
Literally sat here
I'm
and
noticing.
listened, and as soon as I started speaking, he started speaking over me while I've sat here and listened.
Mhm. Yeah, I've noticed. All right, so I'm gonna give me a second, 5C. So to wrap up our point is that when it comes to aliens versus gods, when it comes to aliens, is that that's a natural explanation that's likely because again, it's a natural explanation. We know that we exist as a natural byproduct of our planet, so that's something that could happen out in the universe as well. We don't have evidence of anything supernatural like people having powers.
I believe that is more probable and more likely than the existence of a supernatural entity that created the whole universe.
Right, exactly.
Because, like you said, we are a natural planet, evolution,
Mhm.
all of those things. So the idea that those same things may have happened, along with the idea that the things you need to sustain life, such as water, has been proven to also be in other places. All life needs water to sustain itself. So those things exist in
Right.
other places. So it's not I just don't think it's unlikely. Right.
Exactly.
We
And
don't have evidence for it, so I'm not gonna go. But we don't have evidence for it, so I'm not gonna be like,
aliens definitely exist.
I'm make alive, and I'm not gonna say they definitely exist. I'm not gonna say, but I'm also not gonna. They definitely exist. I'm like, just like we're saying that there's no evidence that a God exists. But again, one I believe is more likely than the former.
Exactly. All right. So 5C, you said you had a question. What was your question, 5C?
Can I respond? I just had a point to both of what they're saying.
Right. I got you, G, bro. I'm gonna move to you, but 5C had a question. Go ahead, 5C.
What would you consider evidence for God? What would be good evidence for you?
All right. I love this question because I always give everyone the same answer. In the Bible, Paul was on the road to Damascus, and Jesus showed himself in a big white light and spoke to Paul in his language. Good evidence for me would all 7 billion people on the planet getting that same experience in their language at the exact same time. If that were to happen,
Same message.
that would be in the same exact message in their language at the same exact time. If that were to happen, then yeah, that would be enough to convince me something that it's real. And even if someone would claim that it's aliens or something like that, something about this particular one is the one that they chose to do. So that would give it more credence than everything else. That would be evidence.
So what would you consider evidence in general? Like
evidence
like
in
just
general is
evidence
something that's testable, repeatable, and replicatable and verifiable. But before we go down that rabbit hole,
And the funny thing is, the thing that you just said meets off all of that criteria.
exactly. And I'm sorry, 5C. Just before we go down that rabbit hole, G-Bro did want to respond. G-Bro, go ahead.
I pretty much forgot the whole of what I was gonna say now, but I remember what Issa said about what was it? Like she was saying diseases and cures, that sort of thing, right? That was kind of the point of what I was saying, right? So mind you, like this is what I want everyone to think about, right? I'm not saying I'm proving anything, right? I'm not a scientist either, but how is it that we know how old the fucking universe is? We have all these calculations. We can measure the size of the universe, but we can't just cure a fucking simple disease on Earth. I'm begging the question on purpose, right? That's what I'm trying to get people to understand.
Okay,
I don't have
we can't.
I'm not saying okay. There's people talking over me now. I'm trying to illustrate.
Hold on. Do you know how much that number has changed? Like that number, how the number of the date of the universe has changed so many times.
But the point is, we can measure that. We can measure that, but we
We're
can't.
still
cure AIDS.
measuring.
Right,
We're
but
still
the
in the process of measuring.
what the difference is, G-Bro, is that astronomy and biology are two different fields, and biology has a lot to do with chemistry. So cancer being a thing and HIV and AIDS being a thing, all that has to do with like several fields of chemistry, virology, biology, microbiology, et cetera, et cetera.
So
These are all, hold on, wait, listen. What I'm saying is that these are all fields happening at once when it comes to that subject. When it comes to astronomy, usually the answer is straightforward. We just got to measure things, right? When it comes to things like cancer is a lot more complicated because of all the things that's going on with it. You see what I'm saying? But just because we can solve one thing and can't solve the other thing does not necessarily mean that all of a sudden a God exists.
I didn't say that.
Doesn't mean that we will never be able
she's
to
cutting
solve
over me
it.
too. I'm
It's
trying
just
to
not right
trying to rebuttal.
All right, I got you, G, bro. Go ahead. Kay, let him go. Let him go. Go ahead.
I don't have proof either. I'm not saying I have proof, but I'm saying it kind of begs the question, right? And I think it's a bit disingenuous when you say, "Oh, cancer is more difficult than discovering the age of the universe," and how all these different planets we're finding. It begs the question.
Different sciences, G, bro.
Of course, but okay, that's why I'm saying think about that, right?
Not to mention, just because
one single disease on Earth is more complicated than fucking the universe itself.
We're not saying.
We can literally manipulate.
That's what you said. That is literally what he just said.
Not what he said.
That's not what I
He
said.
that
I
it's
said
more difficult to cure cancer than it is finding the age of the universe.
no. I didn't say that it was more difficult. I said that that when it comes to
That is what you
astronomy,
said, bro.
no, it's not. Listen to what I said again. I said that when it comes to astronomy, it's a little bit more straightforward. When it comes to things like cancer, it has to do with several different fields, so it's a little bit
Exactly,
more
and not just
difficult.
that, but there's no single universal cure. There's treatments for cancer. We can treat cancer. You're talking to a cancer survivor right now.
I'm
I
not
went through
attacking
cancer
you.
treatment.
Nobody is
You can
attacking you.
survive
Why-
cancer.
about
Just
yourself?
because there's not just because there's not a cure doesn't mean there's not a treatment. So you're really harping on like little details. Just because there isn't currently a cure, doesn't mean there won't eventually be.
You don't get what
you're
I'm
saying
saying.
doesn't
She doesn't
mean
understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, you're saying that we're able. I'm sorry, everybody. Pause real quick. I get what you're saying, G, bro. You're saying that we were able to figure out the age of the universe, but we're still not able to figure out the cure for cancer. I
Something
get
as
that.
simple
Hold on, wait,
as
hold on.
fucking cancer in
Hold on,
scale.
wait. Listen. Neither of these things are simple. The age of the universe was not simple to figure out. Cancer is not simple to figure out. People died of cancer for thousands of years, and we had no idea what it was. You know what I'm saying? Technology needs to advance before we do that. The technology for astronomy. Hold on. Listen. Everybody listen. Pause. The technology for astronomy to figure out the age of the universe has advanced to a point where we're able to do that. The technology for medicine has not. That's just a simple part of it, all right? That doesn't say that one is more difficult than the other, et cetera, et cetera. It's just that advances of technology. Now, we can treat cancer, just like Issa said. She's a cancer survivor. Issa, fuck cancer. You know what I'm saying? So it's like things can be treated, but the technology just hasn't advanced to the point where we can completely cure it. Now, technology didn't advance to the point where we could have cured smallpox until 1956, but we cured it, right? So these things just have to advance, bro. Just because one thing has been figured out doesn't mean that, you know, we can't figure out the other thing, and the other thing is simple. You know what I'm saying? Or either of them are simple. You said something as simple as cancer. Cancer is not simple. Neither was the age of the universe.
It's about the scale.
It doesn't matter about the scale, bro. It doesn't matter about the scale. Things that are small, can still be very, very complex.
Nobody is saying that. I understand that. Okay, you know what? I don't think you understand what I'm saying. I'm saying think about the scale. All of the universe as we know it. We haven't even figured out all the planets at the end of the universe, basically, right? That's my point. We don't understand this. Supposedly, we know the age of the universe and all this shit, but we don't know the simple cure to something on this planet.
Yeah, we don't. So what's the point?
Like cancer.
What's your hold on. Everybody pause real quick. I'm sorry. I'm gonna let everybody go. This is what I want to know. G, what is your point? You're saying because hold on, wait, hold on.
I'm not here saying God exists or anything.
It's not begging any question. Who cares that we? I mean, not who cares. Hold on, listen. It's not who cares that we can't figure out cancer, but that doesn't mean anything. Just because we haven't figured. Hold on, wait. But the thing is, hold on. Listen. But the thing is,
talking over me.
Listen. Now, let me respond to you first, because you're not actually understanding my question. When I say, you're simply saying that I'm just up here begging the question of, we know that the age of the universe, but we can't figure out the cure for cancer. Yeah? And what?
Because this supposed okay, you guys are pro science, right?
Bro, can answer?
Can you answer? Are you pro science?
I'm not gonna answer your question until you answer. I'm not going to answer your question until you answer mine. So what?
Are you pro science?
No, hold on. Listen, I'm not gonna answer your question until you answer mine. Okay? Your question was that we can figure out the age of the universe, but we can't cure cancer yet. My question to you is, so what? What does that mean?
Scientific enterprise. If you're a part of the scientific community, whatever, and you're quick to dismiss God, and you're quick to, think about the perspective. That's all I'm saying, right? I'm thinking about the perspective of supposedly science can dismiss God so quickly.
My nigga, you ain't say shit, bro. You ain't say nothing, bro. No one said you ain't saying nothing, bro. You really ain't.
I'm trying to get a point across. I'm getting cut off.
All right, but the thing is, bro, like you say, you're trying to get a point across, but you're not getting any point across. You're saying we're dismissing God, and we've said multiple times that we don't know if a God exists. We're open to the idea, but we have no evidence of it yet. Cancer not being cured doesn't tell us anything. What the hell are you talking about?
And it doesn't prove the existence of a God. So my question is, why are you up here for?
What are we going with? Exactly. Where are we going with this? I don't understand what your point is. Where are we going with this?
Like I said, I'm here to beg the question. I don't have proof of God. I'm just saying, if you're so quick to dismiss God, and you're
what is the point of your question?
The point is, you shouldn't use science to dismiss
What
God
is the
so
point
quickly.
of your question?
You
What is the
shouldn't
point
use
of your
science
question?
to dismiss God so
Why not?
quickly. You
Why
shouldn't
not?
use science to dismiss God so quickly.
We shouldn't use science to
You
this.
shouldn't use science to
You
dismiss
shouldn't.
God.
We shouldn't.
Evidence
Okay.
of God, we will believe in him. Or it,
Exactly.
whatever.
Okay. So, G-Bro, do you have scientific evidence for God?
I just told you no, dude.
Okay, so
I'm not a
if do you think there is scientific evidence for God?
I don't know. I'm not a scientist, dude.
Okay, great. That's me and you. We're in the same position. So why are you up here begging any question?
So it's a matter of belief. That's all it is. Your position is based on belief.
No, my position is based on
Yes.
evidence.
There.
You just said that there's no evidence for a God, didn't you?
No, what are you talking about?
Is there evidence for a God?
I don't know.
Okay, I don't have any either.
Neither of us know.
No, there isn't any.
Well, that's different.
I'm like,
Then
so
you
you
have
agree
to
with the prompt.
substantiate
Why are
that
you up
claim.
here?
You're the one making that claim.
Yes, I am the one making that claim.
So prove it.
I already did. I searched for it and there wasn't any.
Then what the fuck are we talking about, dude? This is what is this?
So exactly, that's what I'm talking about. Why are you up here? What are we talking about?
What is that? Like, what are we on about?
Did you find proof yet?
Yo, G-Bro, we already told you if there was evidence, we would believe in it. We won't believe in it without evidence. You're saying you don't know if there's evidence. We are also saying we have not been
So it's a
aware
matter
of
of
any evidence.
belief.
Hey, shut the fuck up, bro.
Why are you so mad?
All right. All right. All right. So 5C. how's it going, 5C? What else you got for us?
I get his point. I get what you're trying to say.
Do
because
not
if
be
you
annoying
believe-
like him.
I believe because if you believe in science, right, you'd have to believe that there's evidence. to
I
that
don't
science.
believe in
Same way.
science. Science is verifiable.
Yeah, science is verifiable. Science is a process. It's verifiable. So there's nothing to believe. It's like saying I believe my TV. TV's there.
It's not a science is not a belief system. The idea that you could like for example, the fact that you could treat cancer is not a belief. It's science. It has everything to do with chemistry, biology, etc.
Exactly. It's
That
a
is not
process.
belief.
Yeah, it's a process. So it's not really about a belief system. Make sense? 5C?
I'm like the study of living. It's a study. It's the like for example, biology is the study of living things. That is biological. That is studied. Like over and over and over again and verified through multiple different people and processes. That's not a belief. The
Not to
idea.
men-
The idea that that a woman came from a man's rib is a belief. That the fact that the same science that I have that I'm talking about, i.e., biology, has disproven.
Right. So so 5C, does that make sense? I'm not sure what's not connecting, bro.
5C, what are you confused about?
I just want him to answer. Do men and women have the same amount of ribs? And did women come from a man's rib?
Ribs.
What? Did it mean?
Yeah, I'm like, no, 5C. I'm gonna answer you the question. Did the women come from a man's
Well,
rib?
that's a biblical story. I don't think that.
It is.
Yeah, it is a biblical story.
Sorry, it is. But I'm like, but is it factually true? Is there evidence for it?
I want my baby back, baby back, baby back, baby
There's
back,
testimonial.
baby back. I want my baby back, baby back,
I'm
baby
like,
back, baby
5C,
back,
how
baby
can
back,
it be
baby back.
testimonial for
I
two
want my
people
baby back, baby back,
when
baby
there was
back,
no
baby
other
back, baby
humans?
back, baby back.
According to that
Chili's
biblical story.
baby back
evidence,
ribs.
that's not based on what testimony?
Is there evidence
Testimony
that
and what?
women came from men's ribs? Yes or no?
I don't get what that's to do with the prompt.
Oh, it has to. I'm like,
Holy
if you
shit.
answer the question, and I'm like, I will guide you to.
Yo, are we
Answer the
getting
question.
trolled? Is this a troll?
Yeah, for real, are we being trolled right now? All right, all right, all right. So okay, actually, let's be fair. All right, so 5C, the God that you believe in, is it within the Christian tradition?
No.
No, it's not. Okay, is it
That's
with
why I'm
any?
confused, 'cause I don't know if
Okay,
what
gotcha. Is it with any religious tradition at all?
No.
Okay, so you just believe in a God that's
think God
out there.
just is.
God just
I
is.
think there's
Is
someone
is
higher
this
than
God?
us.
Is this God detectable?
I mean, detectable.
Detectable. Yeah. Can we interact with this God?
I'd say so, yeah.
How?
I can interact with God.
All right. So if I go to like my neighborhood like dispensary and get some nice shrooms, will I be able to interact with the God?
Probably.
All right, y'all. So you heard it first here. Niggas get high and then we interact with God. We just gotta smoke us some blunts, bro. Cool. Awesome. All right, so we're just gonna go ahead and get some edibles and go ahead and get high than giraffe balls.
Hey, I got something to say. Real quick.
Go ahead, Caddy.
You know what's crazy is if you study neurology, right, you understand how collective consciousness works and how
Mhm.
people sometimes have hallucinations based on the overall collective. This happened with the dancing plague, for one example of mass hysteria, where everybody thought they saw or were doing something for some reason. You know what I mean? The Salem witch trials, mass hysteria happened with that stuff too. So what we're dealing with is people conjugating and neurologically connecting and then having an experience, and they go with this experience and they go, I am correct. But halfway across the world, in different places in the world, there are different people mapping the same experience in a different way, using different notions and different explanations. So what you're dealing with here is a profound sense of indoctrination.
Yeah.
And the fact
pretty
is,
much.
the matter of it is, you're dealing with Western philosophy indoctrination, and you're dealing with people who choose a certain model of science to go by that better supports their little belief system based on their emotions and based on their feelings and how they perceive the world. But in actuality, like I've been saying, there's no consensus on a lot of this stuff. And the truth is, the most liberating thing to say is,
I don't know.
do not know.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
All right. This is probably gonna be my last person. What's your name here? Hide your power level. I get the reference. It's over 9,000. All right, power level. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm all right, Matt. So, are you over 18, and do you disagree with something I have on the board?
Yes, I'm over 18. I'm not sure if I disagree or agree, but I would just say that I think that the most pragmatic thing to be is agnostic. It's really hard. It's a question that has a hard answer. There's no evidence to disprove or prove.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
it makes
sure.
it complicated. So I think, but there are some things though that might lend itself to a God being possible.
Mhm.
A couple of things that I've always thought about. I don't know. I was a funeral director for a lot of years.
Mhm.
So, there's an element, a spiritual element that, if, atheists really don't like to hear this, or people that are just really shut off from that sort of thinking, I don't know, they don't like to hear that sort of thing, but I just tend to notice a lot of strange
Spiritual
things.
elephant in funeral homes?
No, it's just like, it's weird. So I just noticed dealing with a lot of cases and, embalming people and just hearing stories from families, I tend to notice that people die in a cyclic way. Like they tend to die around their birthdays or close to it. It's strange.
Mhm.
And then there's other
I
things
mean,
like,
yeah, but that could just be random.
I don't know. That
I'm
might
like,
be.
and that was yours. I know plenty of people that didn't die close to
You know
birth.
what?
Now,
I
in
got
my
a fun.
and
No, go ahead. I
now,
got a fun
to be
experiment for
granted,
you
I'll be
guys.
fair. My mom did die when I was a kid, close to her birthday, 2 weeks
Right.
after the fact. Actually,
Yeah,
but
I've seen couples die. One like say like an older couple. Say the husband died. I picked up the wife the next day, or even in the same day. It's a strange thing.
I mean, yeah, but that could be random too. Cause my grandmother who's 80 something years old is still alive, and my grandfather passed away before I was born.
Do this, guys.
I mean, like, what would you say that you're kind of doing a sharpshooter fallacy here? Like you're getting all the hits and like ignoring the misses?
I don't know. It's go to a cemetery.
Mhm.
If we're about science and seeing evidence, there's also a lot of other things like the cosmological constant. You ever heard of that?
The cosmological constant. I kind of heard of it. I have
So
a vague
basically,
idea of it.
so basically, this is a lot of people will dispute this. A lot of people will argue against it, but basically, gravity that's real. You go
Mhm.
outside, you throw a football. But the thing is the universe that we live in, it's very in tune to gravity. If you have it off by, it's it's very, if you
Oh,
have
fine-tuning?
it, if you have gravity, off by any, if you have it too less or too far,
Mhm.
life can't exist.
Okay,
It
yeah.
has to
So
be-
fine tuning.
I'm like, hold on, y'all. OG, stop being weird in the comments.
Yeah, yeah. I'm about to
I'ma
block him.
mute you.
Yeah, I'm about to mute him.
Cause why you being so weird?
Yeah, he's being really weird in the comments. I'm about to mute him. But yeah, when it comes to
I'm like, no shade. He might have been smoking some shroom.
yeah, for real, because I have no idea what he's talking about. We're not even on politics this week, so it's crazy. But yeah,
Exactly.
so power level when it comes,
I'm gonna mute you for the
yeah,
entire live.
yeah, just mute him, yeah. So power level, that annoying, bro. All right, so yeah, power level. When it comes to
Your grandmother outlived your grandfather, and she lives in the American Republic. What does that have to do with anything?
nothing, bro. All right, so power level.
Matter of fact, I'm like, considering my grandparents lived through Jim Crow, it should be amazing that they survived that long.
True.
Truthfully.
True. All right. So power level when we're talking about like the cosmological constants, like the fine tuning argument, because I've heard that same thing too. When you actually speak to a lot of physicists will even tell you that they've ran the math to see if they can change some of the constants. you can actually have stable universes with a change of the constants. It just won't be something that we could recognize as life or a universe. But that's because that's stable within our reference frame, right? That doesn't mean that if there is another universe that has different constants, then life won't exist or anything like that. That's just a constant for our universe, but that doesn't imply a God. That just applies that the physics of our universe we're just that way for some reason. We don't know exactly the reason why that is, but it's just that way. That's just how the laws of physics works in our universe. But that doesn't imply that a God must exist for that to happen.
No,
Can I?
there's before I go, because I do gotta go, but I'll leave you guys at this. I mean, it's a constructive debate. I like it. One thing though that I do have a problem when it comes to science. No, is the one thing that I have a problem with is this is a fact is science really can't explain. I mean, they can talk about the Big Bang, but they can never talk about where
Why?
the energy came from initially. They don't have a good answer for it. I mean, I know entropy exists, and we all know that. I understand the concept of it and how the universe is infinitely expanding, but there's just no good science explaining how it got to that point to begin with. So you have to how was
Can I
matter
throw a thought out
created?
there for you?
How was matter created without energy or matter? So it's
Can I?
strange. It's a
Can I throw a thought
spontaneous
out there for you?
creation.
Yeah.
Can I throw a thought out there for
Yeah.
you real quick?
Caddy, go ahead.
Is it possible? Could it be possible? Now, this is from my own Hindu belief and background. Is it possible that duality sits on the lap of non-duality, and that they imply each other? And understanding that comprehension, no matter if you scientifically try to align yourself with this or mathematically try to align yourself with this energy, that this energy is both non-duality and duality, and full comprehension of this ultimate reality is based upon one, a mental realization, and two, an experience. But in order to have that, it's a journey, and for me as a Hindu, it's a journey through different lifetimes to eventually arriving at the experience and the mental conclusion. Right now, for example, and I'm going to speak from an experience I had recently. I'm from Advaita Vedanta, which is a philosophy in Hinduism which uses knowledge, which means all knowledge, not just the Hindu knowledge, but all knowledge to understand the ultimate reality. And understanding that, from my perspective, I understand that duality sits on the lap of non-duality. Now, recently, I've used Vedic astrology to figure out my Ishta Devata and what I should be doing bhakti-wise. Now, bhakti is devotion. And devotion, as Sadhguru puts, is a powerful tool, but a tool nonetheless. When you look at it logically, when you approach it through knowledge, it's just a tool. And this is because, like I said before, you can put a bunch of people in a room. One people will see Jesus, the other people will see Krishna. People will see whatever their innate qualities and attributes, memory, whatever memory they have, that's what they'll see. And then there's collective consciousness that also comes into play as well. So when you're speaking of lining up mathematically or getting in tuned mathematically, it's still, from where I stand, even with my experience of sacred geometry and experiencing energy, it's still, from my Advaita Vedanta philosophy, it's still that one energy. It's just my association and memory attachments to that one energy. So
I think
in
he
my
dropped out.
sense, oh man, I went to a thing.
Yeah, I think he dropped out. All good. All right, Truly Chosen. I think you're gonna be my last guest, but you were in the comments. I think you disagree with what I have on the board. Is that correct?
Correct.
All right, Truly Chosen. I'm gonna go ahead and put a few minutes. Chris, I'm gonna get you next time. All right. Next week I'm doing politics. I'm gonna get you next time. I have Truly Chosen is gonna be my last guest because I do gotta get out of here. It's close to 11. I'm already over my time. All right. So Chosen, you disagree with what I have on the board?
Yeah, y'all make it quick. I'm just curious on. You guys keep asking about evidence and the rib and all this. I'm just curious on how do you guys think human beings came into existence then?
We evolved from prior
I'm gonna
organisms.
ask you this: are you a Christian?
Yes.
Cool.
Oh no, I'm definitely gonna ask eventually that. So how I think the universe came to, well, how did we come into existence or the universe? Clarification.
Humans?
Human beings.
Well,
yeah.
my parents had Smiths
Okay.
25
Original.
years ago.
Original.
Like how did humanity come to be? Humanity evolved from prior organisms. Humans evolved from prior organisms.
Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
So that a man and woman were perfectly made from just random organisms?
No, like evolution is a theory of population genetics. There were never two only two people on the planet. That wouldn't be. Otherwise, the organisms will go extinct.
So I'm saying, so organisms.
Truly, do you have a dog? I'm like, truly, do you have a dog or a cat?
I do have a dog. So my question is,
Okay, I'm like, no, 'cause I have a point, right?
All right.
So dogs come from wolves. That's who they. Those are their ancestors.
Right.
I'm like, okay, and house dogs, evolved into dogs.
Okay. My question is then, you're saying these organisms somehow created perfectly just one man and one woman.
No,
Like, I feel like-
no, that's not what I
asking-
said.
I'm curious. No, I'm curious then. You're saying the organisms involved because human beings is man and woman. So how did man and woman be created?
Let me ask you this: does your great ancestors sit on top of your nose? Yes or no?
Please re-ask that question. What?
Does your great ancestors sit on the top of your nose? Do you share commonalities with your ancestors? Yes or no?
I'm sure I do. I've never
In
done
the
that.
same way, you share commonalities with evolution.
Yeah, because chosen. Hold on, chosen. Because I am truly. Wait, hold on, chosen. Because I am truly not understanding your question. There was never a time when there was just one man and one woman on the planet. That's not a thing. So when you say like how did prior organisms create the perfect man and woman, what are you talking about? Because none of us are perfect. Like
Okay,
our
so when I
bodies
say-
suck.
Our bodies really don't suck. The complexity of our bodies is pretty amazing. But I was
Why do we have wisdom teeth?
Huh?
If our bodies don't suck, why do we have wisdom teeth?
I mean, I don't know the body like my question.
Because
is,
our
like,
bodies suck. Anyway,
Okay.
keep going.
Yeah. So then you said there was never one man and one woman.
Never.
So how many? So wait. So
Wait,
are
yeah,
you saying
let me go. Go ahead, chosen.
Are you saying one man was born first and then a woman came later?
No, there was never one man or one woman. Evolution is population genetics. There are always populations. There was never just one organism and another organism. That was never a thing.
So the populations then, you saying populations of human beings just evolved from organisms?
Yes, that's how it works. Do you understand evolution?
I do. My question is then. So then, at what age?
Truly, you didn't answer his question. Do you understand evolution?
Okay. I mean, I don't know the depths of it, but I evolution almost believes we come from monkeys, right? Or no?
Okay, so this is the problem. You don't know what evolution says.
I don't. But so look, I don't have to understand evolution to
Yeah,
understand.
yeah, you
I'm
do.
asking-
Yeah, you do. For you to understand these questions, for you to understand the answers to my question, you need to understand what evolution is.
Okay. So at this then, help walk me through the organism. Organism created a baby.
No.
Started out.
No.
Organism created adult human beings.
No.
Okay. So yeah, explain it to me then.
All right. So, when it comes to evolution, right? Every single species on this planet, or at least animals on this planet, and humans are part of the animal population. Am I frozen? Yeah, you guys can see me?
Yeah, we can see you.
Okay, am I moving around or?
Yeah, you're moving.
Okay, cool.
Now you're better.
I'm better now. Okay, great. When it comes to evolution, from what the evidence shows is that all of us, all organisms on this planet, are related to each other and evolved from a single cell organism 4.5 billion years ago when the Earth was still young. Okay, so it has to do with a lot of process. It has to do with a lot of process of like organic chemistry and things like that. But as far from that, from that single cell organism, when we go down the human line, humans evolve. Humans are primates. We're in the primate family, right? So we evolved from earlier organisms that were like earlier primates, and those earlier primates evolved from earlier you can, I guess you can describe them as monkeys, and they evolved from earlier mammals like probably a shrew like creature, etc., etc.
Could you put the scientific literature of that on the background? Could you get it and put it in the back?
Yeah, let me go ahead and put it up in the background.
So you're
Let's see
saying
if I can find it.
organisms, as all animals, all came at the same time and then evolved into different things.
No, we all evolved from a single cell organism.
He's related to a wolf.
Let me see if I can find it because there's a okay, there it is.
I'm like, Asa, he's so cute. It's like, oh wait, is it a boy or a girl?
He's a boy. This is my baby boy.
Oh, he's cute. Hi, baby.
This is my Lorenzo.
Hi, Bookie.
He evolved from wolves.
All right, I'm about to put it there.
Very cute wolves. I'm sure you came from. Yes.
He is holding my arm. Oh my goodness. Hi, Bopes.
My lady wants a Pomeranian. I keep telling her I want a Doberman, but she wants a Pom.
My dog. This in front of you is a Doberman and Great Dane mix.
Ah, you see, they're beautiful, man. They are beautiful. I love those type of dogs. Okay, let me
150 pounds.
let me know if you can see that chosen. You can see that from on my background, right? Human evolution from protocells to people.
Yes.
All right, so you see like this is what you see where it says here 4.3. I know it's kind of light. You won't be able to see it more, but you see how it says 4.3 GA. Basically, that's 4.3 billion years ago. So 4.3 billion years ago, these were the only type of life on Earth, single cell replicating organisms, essentially. So it came from that all the way to more complex life, unicellular life, then animals, then what we consider fish, then reptiles, then mammals, then from mammals to primates, then from primates to hominids, basically. You see, this is the entire step.
Okay. So why haven't we seen like primates evolve since then?
What do you
like
mean?
Monkeys. Why have they not evolved to humans? And as long as we've known.
Because humans are not the end goal of evolution. We're still evolving.
Okay, that's interesting.
I'm like, and evolution takes millions and billions of years.
Okay.
You're not gonna see
Not
it
to mention,
overnight in your life.
we are other primates. We're not related to modern day like apes.
Right.
We are cousins to. I mean, we are cousins to them. I'm sorry. We are related to them. We're cousins of them, but we didn't evolve directly from them. We have the same. We evolved from the same mutual ancestor, and we divided. They're apes, and we are Homo sapiens.
Right.
So-
Exactly. So like
And we are
you
still evolving.
we're still evolving.
An example of modern evolution is babies' heads are much bigger now, and that's because women regularly have C-sections. That is a part of modern day evolution.
Yeah, exactly.
so-
And if you see like these animals here, these are who are our prior ancestors that we came from. We probably split off from like bonobos, chimpanzees, orangutans, and gorillas. They're our cousins. They probably split off from like these animals as well. Like these are probably their ancestors too. You know what I'm saying? So you see how they look more like chimps, but we took this path and they took another one. That's because we entered into another environment. It's a little complicated than what I'm saying. I'm pretty sure biology is gonna hate me for making it super simple, but that's basically it.
Right,
So
but very
then-
simply, we
that's
have a
it.
common ancestor, and we are all still evolving. Those apes are evolving, and we are also evolving still.
Exactly.
Okay, so then I guess my last question then, if you believe that's where human beings come from, then where did the uniqueness of Earth come from? Tree, all that. Where did Earth itself? 'Cause Earth
Earth-
is not an organism.
Earth got formed from an accretion disk of a star, essentially. That's planetary formation.
Is there any evidence of that? Or is that
Yes,
just
there is
what they-
there's evidence of planetary formation because we've actually taken pictures of accretion disks forming in other parts of the galaxy.
And there's any life form on these?
We don't know
Put
because they're
some
too
of
far
those
away.
in the background, Volsey.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking for right now.
one of the things we don't know is if the world is if our universe cosmos is infinite or finite. We don't know if it's expanding or not expanding. You know what I mean? So those are the questions that are still being explored, and there's many more questions still being explored. And so there are various camps where often scientists are in, and they often meet to have talks and to talk about things. I mean, a good channel to watch for help is Star Talk by Neil deGrasse Tyson. There's a lot of topics that on Star Talk, Neil deGrasse Tyson will sit down and talk with people so you can get an idea of where we sit in our understanding.
What did you call the disc?
The accretion disk. All right. Do you see this in my background? This is actually a picture that we took of another part of the galaxy. It's called the HL Tauri protoplanetary disk. This is a picture of something that's happening in our galaxy right now. So we know that there's something that happens, and this center right here we know is a star forming because of its temperature and the type of light that it's giving off. Like different type of chemicals give off different type of light, and we know that stars, the light that we see from stars has a certain chemical. We see that same chemical coming from this star. So we know that this is a star forming. So that's how we were able to actually prove accretion disk, because all this around here, all that right there is dust and gases.
So I guess with Mars, Pluto, all the planets that we know of, are those considered accretion disks?
No, those also came from this. They also came from the accretion disk. Our Earth, Mercury, Venus, Jupiter, all of them came from the same thing, the accretion disk.
So then, how is it that this one, Earth, has life form?
The reason why this has life on it because
Yeah.
the reason why this one has life on it is because Earth is in a spot that water was able to form, and because water was able to form, and it's a soluble for organisms or single cell organisms to form as well. That's why we were able to have life on it. Other planets
because,
in our
because in order for life to sustain, regardless of what life form it is, it requires water.
Yeah, or some sort of soluble. Now there are other planets, exoplanets that we have seen that are in the kind of same what we call the Goldilocks zone of their star. So water could exist there. And as a matter of fact, there are some exoplanets where the light that it's giving off, we know that it's water on their planet because of the light that it's giving off. Now we don't know there's life there because it's too far away. We can't travel 30 light years away. You know what I'm saying? Because it'll take us like 1,000,000 years to get there. But at least not yet.
Yeah.
Exactly. At least not yet. But we know that there water could exist on those planets.
And I like to say this over and over again because it always is very comforting to me.
Because there's water there,
Hang
it
on,
would not
hang
be
on.
like I
was
said
talking.
earlier.
Hang on, okay.
Oh, sorry, Eve.
No, no worries. But like, first of all, we don't know if there's life in any other place in this universe. But even with that being said, I don't know is a perfectly good answer, and I don't know doesn't amount to something supernatural. Like that's a very large jump to make. So just saying I don't know, but like there's so much we didn't know just 200 years ago that we do know now. So like just like they said, we might not be able to travel now. Eventually we probably will be. And those will be answered, and we'll look back and be like, remember that when humans were so stupid?
So my question is, how do you have evidence of something that was created 4 point some billion years ago? That would have to be a scientist making a logical guess, wouldn't it be?
No, because I'm sorry, Issa, go ahead.
4 billion years ago, there's nothing that can go back that far that says this is how it started.
It's not a guess though.
I'm saying like
There's
what evidence shows that that's how it started?
There is
All right.
no evidence to a start in particular, a particular start. There is evidence for our universe and why our universe came to be, but as far as the start of everything in the cosmos, there is no explanation for that, and there's no proof for that. There's theories of why,
Okay.
but that's it. Now, when you talk about other planets, we have a telescope which we created that can see these other planets. But when they're looking at these other planets, they're actually looking back in time because of how space is. So there are plenty of signs and plenty of observations that we know that the conditions were right, for other systems to contain life based on the fact that they were in what we call the Goldilocks zone.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So
And yeah, and chosen when you bring up stuff about like how do we know what was there 4.5 billion years ago, like just like how Caddy said, when you look into the sky, essentially you're looking into the past essentially. So this accretion disk right here, this is like millions of light years away. So we know what we're looking at here is a picture of millions of years ago. So it doesn't even look like this now. This is how it was millions of years ago. So if this is how it was millions of years ago, we know that this is how exactly that ours could have formed as well. Not only that, just like how I said, here it is.
Let's say I agree with how that's how Earth was formed.
This is beautiful, by the way.
How can you go back and say this is how organisms came about?
We would have to do experiments and see if they match up. We would have to look into the fossil record.
And if they repeat themselves.
And they repeat themselves, and we have to look into the fossil record, like the Miller-Urey experiment. We know that's a good way to get to abiogenesis and has the most evidence of it right now. We look at the fossil record. We look at our genes. We look into the Earth. We look into geology. When we look into geology, we see how the Earth.
I got a better answer.
You don't have
for this
anything that can date back that far, though.
Hold on,
Yeah,
I
we
got
do.
a better answer this for you. I got a better answer this for you.
Go ahead.
When you look at a tadpole to a frog, when you look at an egg to a bird, these things take causes and conditions that have to be right for life to exist. In the same way, when we talk about the Goldilocks zone, we have to be in the Goldilocks zone for particular life to begin to exist. So the causes and conditions have to be exactly right for specific things to start happening. So when we're talking about planets where there is an alignment and it's a fairly new planet, over time it develops in a certain way evolutionarily to have certain causes and conditions that manifest certain aspects of life.
Yeah, but that's not a good argument for the origin.
Truly, I think it would help if you went and read more about how these tests are done and how this research is done, because I think if you lack an understanding of where the proof comes from, how the proof is formed, and how this research is done, all of it sounds far-fetched. And I think that's where you're coming from. I think you're coming from a place where you don't understand the proof, the evidence. You don't understand.
I agree that I don't know the origin.
Yes.
But
So
you look
because
on
you keep
opposite
saying things,
side
I'm
of
not
it.
done speaking. You keep saying things like, "If I believe that," you would. Of course, you don't believe it because you have a lack of
Well, you guys
education into. Again, I didn't interrupt you when you were speaking. You have a lack of education as to how this research is done and how scientists have come to these conclusions. They don't seem so ridiculous when you understand. You don't understand. So we could talk until we're blue in the face, showing you all the evidence, but all of it will sound so far-fetched to you because you just simply lack understanding. And I don't mean this to be insulting, but you're inept for this conversation. Like, you're out of your depth.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, even if it's gonna get to a point where like you're gonna ask a question and it's gonna get to a point where I'm gonna have to tell you I do not know. You know what I mean? I cannot give you every single answer because at the end of the day, I know that's not what you're trying to do, but essentially I have to be like an expert in astrophysics and geology and chemistry, biology, abiogenesis, organic chemistry, microbiology to explain all this. Neurology as well, to explain all this perfectly for you, and I cannot do that. So I would suggest that if you want to have these answers, there are plenty of resources online. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm not gonna even I'm like no cap for real. Like YouTube has plenty of videos where you can know how exactly did we come up with the evidence of these things. How do we know that the Earth is 4 billion years old? How does carbon dating and isometric dating works? They have videos on all this. How does phylogenetics work? How do we know that every species on this planet is related to every other species on this planet? How do we come up with these experiments? How do we know that? Like, there's actual if you look online, there's actual evidence for it. You know what I'm saying? And if you can come away with an understanding, that's great. But like no disrespect, I'm not going to be able to explain every single thing because, again, I have to be an expert in several fields for me to know this stuff. I can be very, very knowledgeable, but it's going to get to a point I'm just going to straight up tell you, I don't know,
Do you believe that Jesus walked this earth?
Yeah, Jesus is probably a real person.
So then you don't believe the miracles or anything like that then?
Right. Like there's no reason for me to believe in his powers.
Even though there's outside of Christianity, there's also other historians that
There's historians that say that Jesus existed. They don't confirm his powers. They say people believe that he had powers, but they can't confirm his powers.
I think you have to first just determine between Abrahamic scholars versus historians, because historians and Abrahamic scholars do not fully agree, and there's reasons for that. Because historians often rely on evidence and data, geological and a whole bunch of other types of evidence, whereas Abrahamic scholars, they just look at the writings and somebody said they saw something. I think Jesus as a person existed. I believe he was probably a person, a product of his environment, like most people are.
What about his teachings?
I think his
What about 'em?
teachings are from again from his perception of his environment and how he perceived his environment and the level of brain power that existed in the time. You know, at one point in time we didn't know something. Now we know something. So you know you gotta look at the time period things are in, and I think that's the whole problem with the Bible. People try to create allegory so it confines to modern day context, but it actually doesn't fit modern day understandings of morality and the understanding of how our world is, and that's the problem. So it's
Yeah, I
out
also
of
believe
date.
Jesus existed. I too. I do. I believe that also. But do I believe he was born of an immaculate birth? No.
No.
I
Yeah,
don't.
exactly. Like it's possible to believe that someone actually existed and not believe that they had superpowers. Like for example, I'm pretty sure you agree that Julius Caesar was a real person, but there are records from around that time that said that Julius Caesar was a son of Jupiter and he ascended into the sky and had superpowers. You don't believe that, do you?
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Are there testimony? Well, I'm saying we're looking at the first-hand testimonies about Jesus, though. You just don't believe those testimonies.
No, they're not first-hand testimonies. They're
None of
like
those-
they're like fourth and fifth hand, because like Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John didn't actually write Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and they even said that they weren't there to see any of this stuff. They're just getting third hand
Was there?
verification.
Wasn't John there?
No.
It was
The
written
person
in-
the person who wrote John wasn't wasn't one of John's disciples. That's just a name given to that gospel.
So then, I guess my last question would be then, when you look at like testimonies of miraculous things happening today, you think these are coincidences or luck?
Like whenever people claim miraculous things happening today, it's either a complete coincidence, like either things that can be explained naturally, a complete coincidence, or they're fake.
I would
Yeah,
say
when we talk about like prophecies, humans have existed for so long with billions of humans. The likelihood of any of those prophecies happening, like just them happening because of billions of people existing, that's just likely.
Let me tell you,
probability is likely.
there's
Well,
been
the prophecies in
experiments.
The Bible was more.
Hold on. There's been experiments where you get two cultures and two spiritual people from two different backgrounds and put them in different rooms, and they have an experience, and they all talk about their experience, and then the other group talks about its experience, and they compare notes. And what you find is, you know what I mean? There's this sort of collective consciousness type of thing that happens neurologically, where people it's called groupthink. So if a bunch of people are heavy devotees of something, they can have an experience that does not verify that the experience is real. Because, like I said, across the ocean, somebody's having an experience.
Question really quick. How do you? So we talk about like miracle things like that. I'm talking Caddy. How can you put two study groups together and expect to see a miraculous event? That's not.
You don't have to put two study groups together. You can go through spiritual exploration and see it for yourself. I mean, I started off Christian and went into atheism, then went into Advaita Vedanta, and now I'm further into Hinduism and Buddhism. And I understand completely that when somebody's in a state of ecstasy, there's certain synapses and certain things that bring about these particular types of feelings. I also understand when people are in a group there is this thing called groupthink, and people think they see something or they have something.
I
It's
can,
a,
I can agree with that, but I
Yeah,
don't think
but
that's the same.
chosen just to you know say this again. When it comes to quote unquote miracles, they're either something that are unverifiable, a complete coincidence, or they're fake. There's never been a point of a miracle of a limb growing back. Like God has never healed amputees. That has never happened.
So I mean, that's the only kind of miracle that would work for you. I'm guessing.
It's not the only one that will work for me. But if these things
What
were
about
actually
like I've heard
consistent, huh?
what about like the people who've been healed from cancer? That's not just a
Coincidence. We know that cancer goes into remission all the time.
Okay. So even like doctor, everybody say there's no way the person could have been healed, and you're saying, well, that was just a coincidence.
Every time people have claimed that, they're either lying or it's a coincidence.
Okay.
No, for real. I'm not even lying. I'm not even joking. Like there are people who have I've been in churches where they've claimed that, oh, all the doctors says that I would have been healed. That didn't happen. They lied.
So there's a video you can get on YouTube and find where a lady couldn't walk, went to a church, got healed, and was able to walk. She couldn't walk for 20
Fake.
years, got married. It wasn't fake. It's verified.
No, it was not.
Verified by who?
By who?
A kid who knew her well before when she was married. He was a kid and grew up. And
The only thing that would tell me that was verified is a medical professional.
Yeah, if you watch the video, it's on YouTube. A lady was
So a doctor, like a actual doctor, medical doctor, checked her out, said she couldn't walk before, and then saw her after and said that she was able to walk suddenly.
Yeah, I'm telling you, look on you. It's on YouTube. It's all documented. She said she didn't want to go to the place because she.
If that were true,
can I finish? Like you.
If that were true, they'd have a Nobel Peace Prize.
Yeah, if that were true, they'll have a peace prize in medicine. How come he doesn't go to what is that, St. Jude's Hospital and cure all the kids' cancer?
Why would you get a Nobel Peace Prize for verifying a miracle? It wasn't his doing.
That's exactly what the Nobel Peace Prize is about, bro.
Exactly.
So I'm saying, like,
If you were to do something incredible like that, you would get a Nobel Prize for that.
No, I'm saying
And everybody would know about it. It wouldn't be something I'd have to search for on YouTube.
On YouTube, yeah.
I'm saying the doctor wouldn't be doing anything incredible.
Yeah, he would.
The doctor be doing incredible.
No, I'm talking about that pastor that healed that person.
Oh no, I didn't say the pastor healed the person. The pastor didn't take credit for healing this person. God healed this person.
Okay, what I'm.
When I say it's verified is because there was a kid who knew this lady while she was in a wheelchair.
We're not talking about the kid. We're talking about. I don't care about the kid. I'm talking about actual medical professionals saying that she's a quadriplegic. She will never walk again. Then all of a sudden she went to get prayed by someone with healing hands, and she started walking again. Are there actual medical documents, evidence showing that she will never walk again?
Yes.
Okay. What's the name of this video?
Look up paralyzed woman.
That's not gonna bring me anything. That's not gonna bring me anything.
There's so much of that. There's so much of
There's
that.
a lot of those.
This is the only one I've seen that's been verified by multiple people.
No,
I'm talking about verified by medical professionals.
Yeah, the medical professional said she had never walked.
I don't care about the opinions of people. I don't care about some person, some neighbor, some child who knew them.
When I say verified, there was a medical professional that said she would never walk again.
Okay, what's the name of that person and the person who healed them?
I mean, I don't.
Was it Benny Hinn? Because if it's Benny Hinn, I'm gonna tell you right now, they lying.
It's not even a known pastor. It's not even like.
Okay.
I know this isn't real because this would be like.
This would be worldwide news, bro.
Exactly. This would be a medical breakthrough that would be everywhere. I know it's
It,
not real.
it happened 10 years ago, and it wasn't worldwide news.
Yeah, because people don't believe.
This would be bigger than the. Hold on. 10 years ago was around the time that Obama was leaving office and that Trump was coming into office. You're saying that around the time of a presidential election, this wasn't brought up by any presidential candidate? None of them said it?
No, because they're skeptic, right? Just like you don't believe that God could have actually healed this person. The same reason a presidential or any politician.
The reason why I don't believe that is because if that was the case, how come he hasn't gone to St. Jude's Hospital and cured all those kids of cancer yet?
You keep saying it's like it's a pastor saying, "Oh, I'm going to healing all these people." That's not how it played out.
I understand that. What I'm saying is that if what you're saying is true, How come he hasn't gone to St. Jude's Hospital to cure all the kids of cancer? How come that
Right,
woman
like
can walk, but kids with cancer don't get cured?
No, that's not
I
how God works.
literally come from a house. I live in a house full of people who work in medicine. We have medical journals that come in the mail every single month. This would be something I would know about because we read those things like you
Yeah, so
know,
does my dad.
like they're gospel.
Yeah, yeah. We get medical journals all the time. This was in no medical journal.
Psychologically,
By the way, I'm not making this up, so I'm trying to find the.
I understand that you're not. I'm making it up. I do know that. I do believe that you've seen a video like that before. What I'm saying is that when I was growing up in the church, we saw stuff and claims like you're saying all the time, and they were always lying.
Again, that's what I'm telling you. That I agree. I've seen a lot of the fake healings and all that, and these pastors are always trying to get money out of people and whatnot. But this one is verified.
By a doctor.
Yeah, the doctor proved that she was never supposed to walk again. And then what clarified it was when the guy was saying he's like 30 something now, and he knew her. She got married in her wheelchair. Like she was a guy from church. She made a church that he married her while she was in her wheelchair. She was in a wheelchair for like 20 some years.
All right. What's the name of this person, and how come it was never printed in a medical journal?
I'm trying to figure out how long ago it was. I can't. I don't.
So, while you're doing that, I want to point out that mental health and stuff like meditation, stuff like just doing the mental work is profoundly helpful for the body. And the body does have abilities to heal itself. And the level at which those capabilities of the body are enhanced in certain meditative states or certain focuses of pain, because usually if you focus too much on pain will enhance and the body will respond and chemicals will be released and all that.
All
You
right,
know what I
y'all.
mean?
It's actually 11:10. It's like really late. I'm gonna have to go ahead and go because like I got work tonight. Yeah, I got work tomorrow morning. So
Hey, it's the
Yeah, I should
700
break
Club.
the 700 Club. Oh yeah, they lying, bro. They lying. They definitely lying. Yeah, they lying, bro. The 700
serious-
Club, they lying. They
With
definitely
all
lying.
due respect, actually disrespectfully.
Yeah. Fuck the 700 Club.
Pat
That-
Robertson.
That's the same guy that said that my people made a deal with the devil, and that's why Haiti is the way that it is right now. He was a white supremacist moron. Fuck the 700 Clubs forever. All right, y'all. I do apologize, y'all. I gotta go ahead and get out of here. I know I haven't get to all of the guests. Tiana, please come next week. Next week I'm doing politics. Next week I'm doing politics, y'all. So let me go ahead and give y'all a preview of next week. All right, this is gonna be a preview of next week. Let me shrink myself a bit. All right, y'all. So this is a preview of next week. This is what we're gonna be doing. We're gonna be discussing this with conservatives. I hope y'all can see that. Y'all can see that, right?
Yeah.
All right, great. Yeah, we're gonna be discussing this with conservatives. I'm gonna move this over a bit, and I'm just gonna make this a little better. And
I'm looking forward to this, dude.
yeah, this is gonna be a good one. All right, because every time I speak to conservatives about things that I believe in about society, I think we should do these things, and they somehow believe that this is a bad thing for some reason. I never understand why. But we're gonna go ahead and do this next week. Next week is politics. So this is gonna be the end of religion week. I appreciate y'all being here. We got to 22K likes. 22K likes. I appreciate y'all. Next Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, I will be here again. We're gonna be talking about politics for this. Everyone on Deconstruction Zone, I appreciate y'all for watching. Everyone on the Black Atheist YouTube, I appreciate y'all for watching. Everyone on my personal channel, Ding Dong, you're always there. Burns, you're always there. I appreciate y'all for watching. Next week, next Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday, we're gonna be talking about politics. If y'all agree with everything or like want to see more of what I do, please consider subscribing. Link is in the bio of all my channels, my Black Atheist YouTube and my my personal channel, Volsy Thoughts. Go ahead and subscribe to those. I appreciate you all. Please follow me for next week, and y'all have a good night.
Good night. This was a good live.
Yeah, very good live. Appreciate y'all.
Good night.
All right. Damn it, end the live. Dang it. Oh yeah. Oh man.